Chapter 464. When Dugu Jiuqiang heard this, he immediately became unhappy. It wasn't easy for us to get up here. Why do we have to go down? Aren't you messing with us? Wuji said, according to the rules of the first stage, the boss commanding the monsters should be at the back of the group. As long as the team pulls the monsters down the mountain and leaves a few people here, we can find a boss. What if the boss is in the group? Lei Gongding asked Wuji after thinking for a moment. Wuji chuckled. The higher we stand, the clearer we can see. Lei Gongding was speechless. The demonic eagle rider was currently above everyone. Looking up from below, as the monsters blocked the light, they could only see darkness. They could not see where the boss was. If a group of people pulled the demonic eagle rider to the middle of the mountain, the demonic eagle rider would fly lower than the top of the mountain. The players on the mountain would not be able to see the shadows of the monsters clearly. The people in front of the light could not see what was behind the light, but the people behind the light could see what was in front of the light. Also, look down on those idiots who drive at night without changing their headlights. What you said makes sense, but who will stay on the mountain? Lei Gongding asked Wuji. Not only did the people staying on the mountain have to find a boss, but they also had to have the ability to deal with the boss. It was not good to have too few people dealing with the boss. However, if they wanted to lure the monsters down, they could not have too few people. Hence, the people staying on the mountain was a problem. If there were too few people, they might not be able to defeat the boss. If there were too many people, they might not be able to pull the aggro away. Hence, the people staying on the mountain had to be the experts among experts. Lei Gongding was naturally considered an expert. However, after being tricked by Wuji once, he was clearly more cautious. When he heard Wuji's words, he immediately became vigilant. Wuji said, 3 people will be enough on the mountain. An archer responsible for luring the boss, a shield warrior responsible for defense, and an agile, powerful damage dealer. There was only one archer, Yang Na. Naturally, there was no need to consider a second person. Mingdu's damage output was enough, but the word agility was not his match. Only Wang you could compare to his powerful damage output. As for the shield warrior, Wuji looked at Yin Lao Air, then at the Thunder God Lord. He smiled and said, second bro go. The Thunder God Lord can't do it. Lei Gongding snorted coldly and thought to himself, this trick again. Saint Seiya will not be defeated by the same move twice. Thinking of this, Lei Gong calmly said to Wuji, I'll be responsible for protecting you. That was why it was said that there was no such thing as a complete idiot. There were only people who had never been taken advantage of. For Thunder God to be able to survive in the pro scene, he at least had a bit of a brain. His intentions were very clear. Wherever you go, I'll go. Let's see how you screw me over. Wuji smiled and said, okay, just protect me. Don't run around. Don't worry. I'll definitely follow you closely, Lei Gongding said with a sinister expression. Old Cao Yu, second bro, and little sister Qingshu stay here. Okay. Wang Yu nodded. We're not leaving a mage behind. Lei Gongding asked curiously when Wuji finished arranging the people he would leave behind on the mountain. Wang Yu could easily see through Lei Gongding's ultimate move. Even if the Thunder God Lord had feelings for Wang Yu, he would not doubt Wang Yu's strength. However, in this situation, leaving a Grandmaster of Combat behind was clearly not appropriate. Their target was a flying monster and a boss at that. Even a mage's attack range might not be enough. No matter how powerful a Grandmaster of Combat was, their attack range was the shortest among all classes. Could Wang Yu defy the system's settings? Wuji said, if a mage's agility isn't high enough, they'll be killed by the boss. But a Grandmaster of Combat. How about we leave you here? Just as Lei Gongding was about to say something, Wuji's words made him swallow the rest of his words. Fine, a Grandmaster of Combat is a Grandmaster of Combat. At worst, we'll just get wiped. In any case, I didn't pass the first stage, and my completion rate is currently 0. Lei Gongding decided to give up. After the distribution was done, Wang Yu and the other 2 stayed on the mountain. The others followed Wuji, sticking close to the mountain wall as they walked up the mountainside. Seeing this, The demonic eagle riding ape in the sky chased after them. At this moment, the three people on a mountain saw a special demonic eagle riding ape at the back of the group of monsters. This demonic eagle riding ape was about twice the size of a normal demonic eagle. The giant eagle it sat on had 2 horns on its head, and it looked quite powerful. This should be the so-called boss. Demonic Eagle King, level 40, gold boss, elite, HP, 50,000, 25,000 MP, 5,000, 25,000 skills, boulder throw, diving claw, demonic ape fist, demonic ape staff strike, wing sweep formation. The demonic Eagle King hovered above the group of monsters. If the 3 of them had not stayed on the mountaintop, they would not have seen it. At this moment, the beast spread its wings in the air, and just as it was about to follow the group of monsters, Yang Na raised her crossbow, took aim, and shot a stun arrow at the demonic Eagle King. It was not that Yang Na's accuracy had improved, but that the 3 of them were only a dozen meters away from the boss. Moreover, the demonic Eagle King was a large target, and it was not very fast when hovering in the air. If Yang Na still missed, it would not be called a low hit rate, but a blind eye. Ga. The giant bird under the demonic Eagle King cried out strangely, and with a flap of its wings, Yang Na's stun arrow was directly smacked to the side. As for the boss, forget about stun, it did not even seem to have any intention of stopping. Crap! Wang Yu and the others were dumbfounded. Meow. Primates were also beast-type monsters. They were innately resistant to crowd control, and they also had the aura of a boss. Yang Na's newly learned skill was completely useless against it. Little sister Qingxue, your skill is completely useless, Yin Lao Air said, dumbfounded as he looked at the boss in the sky. As soon as Yin Lao Air finished speaking, the giant eagle under the demonic Eagle King turned around and locked its aggro on Wang Yu and the others. This beast's huge and ugly appearance caused the 3 of them to feel their scalps tingle. Wang Yu said, "You can't say that the attack was useless. At the very least, it attracted the boss's aggro. Yang Na was a demon hunter, so she had a bonus attack against darkness attribute monsters. Although she had not managed to control the boss, the damage she had dealt was not low. This arrow had directly pulled the demonic Eagle King's aggro. Bang! The demonic Eagle King's sandbag-sized fist violently smashed into the giant eagle's head. Ga. The giant eagle cried out in pain as it swooped down toward the 3 players on the ground. Grandson, seeing the opportunity, Yin Lao Air raised a shield and used taunt on the descending demonic Eagle King. However, the demonic Eagle King was an elite monster. It was immune to taunts. The demonic Eagle King ignored Yin Lao Air. Instead, it pounced toward Yang Na, who stood a short distance away from Yin Lao Air. Aya, don't come over. Yang Na's pretty face paled in fear as she screamed in panic. Chapter 465. The eagle beneath the Eagle Rider King was incomparably huge. With a wingspan of 5 to 6 meters, it swooped down from the sky at a speed far faster than anyone could have imagined. Yang Na was an incredible expert. She had seen all kinds of monsters, but this was the first time she had been scared into such a sorry state. After all, the monster was too big. Its diving attack covered a large area. No matter how profound Yang Na's footwork was, there was no way she could dodge in this situation. Dodge to the right. Seeing that Yang Na was about to be rammed to death by the Eagle Rider King, Wang Yu shouted. Dusk leap flashed to Yang Na's right side. Yang Na hurriedly dodged half a meter to the right. By then, Wang Yu's cloud capture hand had already arrived. Before the Eagle Rider King could hit Yang Na, Wang Yu had already pulled Yang Na out from under the Eagle Rider King. The Eagle Riding Ape King didn't manage to hit its target. It let out an angry roar and roughly pulled the feathers on the back of the giant eagle's neck. The giant eagle flew up into the sky, far away from the ground. Then, the Eagle Riding Ape King hovered in the air, glaring at Wang Yu below. Wang Yu thought, this bastard. Its hatred is directed at me again. The 2 sides stared at each other for a few seconds. Then, the Eagle Rider King raised its arms, and a large rock appeared in its hands. It threw the rock down, and the rock flew in a parabola towards Wang Yu. Fuck! The three of them were stunned. This Eagle Rider King clearly didn't have anything in its hands. Why did it suddenly have a rock? Could it be that this guy knows spatial magic? In the blink of an eye, the rock had already flown above Wang Yu's head. Wang Yu hurriedly dodged to the side, but the rock seemed to have grown eyes. It turned in the air and chased after Wang Yu. Fuck! Wang Yu was speechless at the system's shameless behavior of using a skill as a spell. How was this boulder toss? It might as well be called boulder fall. The moment the rock fell on Wang Yu's head, Wang Yu rolled on the ground, dodging the strange rock. At the same time, the Eagle King's second stone was thrown down. F***CK. Wang Yu cursed anxiously and rolled to the side once again to dodge. Seeing Wang Yu dodge two boulders in a row, the eagle-riding Ape King patted its chest and roared. It was unknown whether it was laughing or angry. Then, the eagle-riding Ape King smiled excitedly and threw a large rock at Wang Yu. F***CKU. Wang Yu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This eagle-riding king was treating him like a toy. Even when facing a level 50 epic rank boss, Wang Yu had not had such a hard time. Today, however, he had met his nemesis. Although Wang Yu's rolling skill allowed him to avoid the rocks, it was too shameful to be tossed around by a monkey. From the looks of it, this monkey should be able to throw stones without limit, and the more he threw, the more excited he became. If this went on, there would be no end. Looking at Yin Lao, Air, and Yang Na, they were actually squatting in the distance, watching Wang Yu roll while pointing at him. Huh, you can roll like this? Yeah, why didn't I think of this position? Try it next time. Seeing the two leisurely spectators, Wang Yu flew into rage. What the hell are you two looking at? Hurry up and pull the aggro over. Yin Lao Air said, Old cow, if you can't dodge it, then we can't either. Hold on for now. We'll think of a countermeasure first. That's right. You look pretty good rolling. Let's continue, Yang Na echoed. F***CKU. Wang Yu's face darkened. Think of a countermeasure, my ass. The two bastards were obviously watching a joke, especially Yang Na. Wang Yu really regretted saving her. It's not that we don't want to save him, but look at how high the monster is flying. What can we do? Yin Lao Air said. Wang Yu said, You guys pull the aggro first. I have a plan. You're not lying to us, are you? Of course, I never lie. I don't believe you. F***CK, if I die, you guys won't have a good time either. Wang Yu threatened the two. It had to be said that this tactic was quite effective. The two of them together were not Wang Yu's match. They saw each other all the time, so if Wang Yu wanted to abuse them, it would be a piece of cake. All right, don't try to trick us. Saying that, Yin Lao Air stood up and rushed to Wang Yu's side. He raised his giant shield and blocked the stone flying toward Wang Yu. Duong. The huge impact caused Yin Lao Air's health bar to drop slightly. His shield's block value also dropped. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Wang Yu suddenly rolled to the side and stood up. The Eagle Rider King wanted to chase after him again, but Yang Na raised her crossbow and fired. The penetrating arrow hit the eagle's head, dealing over 1,000 damage. Yang Na's attack dealt a lot of damage to the eagle. The eagle's body swayed, and the Eagle Rider King almost fell off. The Eagle Rider King angrily punched the eagle a few times, and the eagle became obedient. Then, the Eagle Rider King turned around and aimed at Yang Na. Seeing that the Eagle Rider King was about to dive down again, Yang Na hurriedly ran behind Yin Lao Air's shield and shrank. Having lost his target, the Eagle Rider King roared again and again. It threw stone after stone at Yin Lao Air. Seeing that Yin Lao Air was riding the Eagle Rider King, Wang Yu couldn't help but feel envious. He thought about how he had been a strong martial artist since he was young, but now he was as fragile as a piece of paper in a game. Wang Yu felt a chill in his heart. Although Yin Lao Air and Yang Na weren't rolling around on the ground like Wang Yu, Yin Lao Air was still suffering. There was a limit to the block value of a shield. If it was blocked, it wouldn't last long. Yin Lao Air's shield was a set. If it was smashed by the ape, his stats would immediately drop. At that time, he could only go cry. Old cow, hurry up. I can't hold on much longer. Yin Lao Air shouted at Wang Yu. Wang Yu was gesturing with his right hand. When he heard Yin Lao Air shout, he turned around and said, Don't worry, I'm just warming up. Yin Lao Air. If you have a skill, use it. If you have a method, use it. Warming up in the game? Are you afraid of leg cramps? Of course, Yin Lao Air didn't dare say it out loud. He only secretly complained. Soon, Wang Yu finished warming up. His expression suddenly became serious. Get out of the way. Wang Yu roared at Yin Lao and changed the weapon in his hand into a long rod. He ran a few steps in the direction of the Eagle King and slammed the rod into the ground. Then, he flew up upside down. When he reached the highest point, Wang Yu put away the staff and threw the chi wave in his hand diagonally downwards. He used the recoil to change his direction. Then, his figure flashed, and he rose another 5 meters. Wang Yu had used this move when he fought the Dragon Blood Spear God in Heavenly Dragon City. Now that his level and stats had increased by a lot, his equipment had also been upgraded. So, this time, Wang Yu jumped even higher than last time. However, the Eagle King flew much higher than the Dragon Blood Spear God. At that time, the Dragon Blood Spear God could only fly 8 to 9 meters, but the Eagle King's mount was an eagle. This guy was over 20 meters above the ground. Even if Wang Yu jumped higher than last time, there was still some distance between him and the Eagle King. Chapter 466. No way. This is your strategy? Yin Lao Air could not help but ridicule Wang Yu when he saw him leaping into the air. There was still a distance between him and the Eagle King. What was the point of jumping up and not being able to reach the Eagle King? His movements were restricted. If the boss threw a stone at him, he wouldn't even be able to roll. As if he did not hear Yin Lao Air's ridicule, Wang Yu leisurely took out a ball of rope when he was diagonally below the Eagle King. He grabbed the noose with his right hand and threw it up. The rope drew an arc in the air, bypassed the giant eagle, and hooked itself onto the head of the eagle-riding Ape King. It was actually the Flying Dragon Rope. Although the Flying Dragon Rope had no attributes and players could not use it right now, to Wang Yu, it made no difference. Even if the Flying Dragon Rope was just a normal rope, in Wang Yu's eyes, it was a weapon. Regardless of whether it had attributes or not, as long as he could use it to pull out the boss, he would be satisfied. After snagging the Eagle King, Wang Yu grabbed the other end of the rope. His body swayed as he flew towards Yin Lao Air and Yang Na. Yang Na had been crouching. When she saw Wang Yu swing over, she laid on the ground and dodged. No matter how fast Yin Lao Air's reactions were, he was still a clumsy tank. Furthermore, he was still looking down on Wang Yu. Before Yin Lao Air could dodge, Wang Yu kicked him into the air. Crap, you did that on purpose. Yin Lao Air bellowed. With Wang Yu's skills, it would be easy for him to hit someone, and it wouldn't be difficult for him to avoid someone. Yin Lao didn't believe that he did it unintentionally. Wang Yu grabbed the rope with both hands, his feet off the ground as he said, I told you to get out of the way, yet you insisted on standing there. It's my fault. Bitch. Speechless, Yin Lao Air hid to the side and quietly watched Wang Yu swing on a rope with Yang Na. It didn't feel good to have a rope tied around its head. Wang Yu had used a slipknot. Although he didn't know if the monster would feel suffocated, the eagle-riding Ape King that was tied around its neck almost got pulled off. Chirp, roar. The eagle-riding Ape King on the eagle's back was furious. After pounding its chest with its fists and roaring, it pulled the rope with all its might. The eagle-riding Ape King's strength was extraordinary. Wang Yu was like a scarecrow being dragged here and there. This was clearly not what Wang Yu had expected. You too, hurry up and help. Wang Yu didn't forget to call for help even as he was floating. Yin Lao Air said, crap, that's a boss we're talking about. Even if we help, it'll be useless. Look at your stupid idea. Although Yin Lao Air said that, he still ran over. He jumped up and hugged Wang Yu's thigh. A shield warrior's weight was relatively heavy. With Yin Lao Air's sudden increase in strength, the falling eagle-riding Ape King's head tilted to the side. The eagle-riding Ape King grimaced in pain as it grabbed the rope with both hands and yanked it up. Reality had proven that playing tug-of-war with a boss was extremely stupid. Even if there was a tank, suddenly, Wang Yu and Yin Lao Air were pulled into the air. At this moment, Wang Yu stepped on Yin Lao Air's face, kicking Yin Lao Air to the ground. Meanwhile, Wang Yu flew straight up. This time, He actually flew above the eagle's back. When Yin Lao Air saw Wang Yu in the air, he finally understood Wang Yu's plan. Originally, Wang Yu thought he could pull the boss down by himself. Who knew that the eagle-riding Ape King was so strong? Seeing that his first plan had failed, Wang Yu came up with his second plan. If Wang Yu was alone, the eagle-riding Ape King would not need to use much strength to play with him like a yo-yo. However, things were different with Yin Lao Air. Although the two of them were large, a shield warrior who added his points to physique was more than twice as heavy as a grandmaster of combat. Feeling the increased weight, the eagle-riding Ape King exerted more strength. When the time came, Wang Yu would kick Yin Lao Air down. It would be like two people suddenly letting go of something. With this, Wang Yu was directly pulled into the air. Caw! Seeing Wang Yu fly up, the eagle-riding Ape King was obviously stunned. It stood up and waved its hands to pull Wang Yu. With one foot on the eagle's back, Wang Yu grabbed the eagle-riding Ape King's shoulders with both hands and threw himself forward. He shouted, "Get down!" The man and the monkey twisted into a ball and fell from the eagle's back. After losing the eagle-riding Ape King's control, the giant eagle in the sky cried out in pain and flew into the sky. At this moment, only 3 people and 1 monkey remained on the mountaintop. For people, beads of sweat dripped from their foreheads as they looked at each other. Without the eagle-riding Ape King's combat strength had decreased by at least 80%. It was a smart monster. It knew that the 3 fellows in front of it were especially difficult to deal with, especially the Grandmaster of Combat. The eagle-riding Ape King wanted to escape. Even without the eagle, a single boss was still stronger than 3 players. However, the other end of the rope around its neck was still in Wang Yu's hands. How could it escape so easily? Wang Yu held onto the rope tightly, not daring to slack off. This monkey was extremely strong. If he was distracted, there was a high chance that it would break free. On the other hand, Yin Lao Air and Yang Na did not dare to act rashly. No matter how cowardly this fellow looked, it was still a boss. The two of them did not have Wang Yu's courage and ability. Especially after being beaten up so badly by this monkey, the two of them had been traumatized. At this moment, they did not dare to step forward and cause trouble. Squeak, squeak, can you loosen the rope? You're making me very uncomfortable. Just as the 4 of them were staring at each other, the eagle-riding Ape King broke the silence. Crap, you can even talk? An intelligent boss? Hearing the eagle-riding Ape King's words, Wang Yu and the others were immediately stunned. Being able to actively communicate with players was a privilege that only intelligent NPCs had. An elite boss that did not even have a name was, at most, a high-level monster. Yet it suddenly spoke to them. This was too strange. Squeak, of course. I am the commander of the flying army under Lord Apostle. The eagle-riding Ape King said proudly. Then why don't you have a name? Yin Lao Air asked curiously. There was another way to determine whether an intelligent NPC was intelligent or not, and that was by looking at their names. Generally, NPCs with names were high-tiered NPCs. At the very least, they would be a boss. Monsters that did not even have names were, at most, small monsters that provided experience. I'm a monkey. Why would a monkey need a name? Squeak. The eagle-riding Ape King said confidently. The 3 of them were stunned once more. The eagle-riding Ape King's words made sense. However, it was not as if there were no famous monkeys. If that monkey really wanted to enter the instance dungeon, even if all the NPCs from all 3 factions were combined, there would be more than one. Let's not talk about this anymore. Hurry up and untie the rope. I'm very uncomfortable, the eagle-riding Ape King muttered again. About this, Wang Yu paused for a moment before saying, we are players, and we're currently raiding a dungeon. If we kill you, we should be able to obtain some good items. Chapter 467. What are you trying to do? The Eagle Rider King asked as he looked at Wang Yu in fear. Aren't you an intelligent NPC? I've explained it so clearly, yet you still don't understand? Yin Lao Air was confused for a moment, then fiercely said, It's only right that we kill you. If you have something good, hurry up and take it out. Otherwise, if we take it ourselves, it won't be as simple as trapping you. The intelligence of an intelligent NPC was definitely not fake. Even if the Eagle Rider King was a monkey, it knew that Wang Yu and the others were trying to blackmail it. The Eagle Rider King pitifully said, "Why do we need to fight and kill to build a harmonious society?" Damn! The three of them nearly spat blood when they heard this. This was the line given by that idiotic designer. Just now, this monkey was throwing rocks in the sky, but it didn't seem harmonious at all. Cut the crap and hurry up. Wang Yu pulled the rope in his hand and pulled out his weapon, preparing to attack. Yes, yes, yes. The Eagle Rider King hurriedly pulled out a book and said, "This is a Grandmaster of Combat skill book. I hope you will like it. Fist Force, rare skill. Transforms the weapon in the user's hand into battle energy for a period of time, increasing attack power and attack range. Applicable class. Grandmaster of Combat. The Grandmaster of Combat class was famous for their short hands. This skill book could actually increase a player's attack range. Even if it did not increase attack power, it was still an excellent skill book. However, it was an intelligent boss, so it definitely had more than this. Wang Yu took the Fist Force skill book and said, "This skill book is not bad, but you smashed me so hard just now." Wang Yu's words were not false. He could be considered a knowledgeable player. Even the godly boss Arceus had not made Wang Yu suffer so much. Now, however, he was rolling on the ground after being smashed by a monkey. For Wang Yu, this was definitely a great humiliation. Us too. My endurance shield has been destroyed. Hurry up and give me a shield. It doesn't have to be too good. I'll reluctantly accept an epic or legendary one. Even if it's not possible, a dark gold one will do, Yin Lao Air said. Hearing Yin Lao Air's words, the eagle-riding Ape King was on the verge of tears. Wang Yu was only extorting money, but Yin Lao Air was simply sucking the marrow out of his bones. Epic legend? Even if the Eagle Rider King had won, he wouldn't hand it over. After all, this kind of high-end equipment was related to a big quest. If he casually gave it away, what if someone accepted the quest and came to collect it? The system god would definitely make sure that the eagle-riding Ape King would never be able to reincarnate, refresh. Compared to the consequences above, the Eagle King would rather die once. It was a dungeon monster, after all. It was used to dying. No, I'm a monkey. I don't have any equipment. Squeak, squeak. The eagle-riding Ape King twisted its face in disdain. Being looked down upon by a monkey, Yin Lao felt depressed. Wang Yu advised, "Don't make things difficult for it. It attacks us with stones, so where would it get its equipment from? Forget it. Since there are no other benefits, let's just kill it." Squeak, squeak, you're not trustworthy. I've already given you a skill book. The eagle-riding Ape King cried out angrily. There are three of us. How are you going to split a skill book? Let me tell you, there's someone in our party who's especially good at eating. Do you know what a monkey's brain tastes like? Wang Yu asked. I don't know. Squeak. Hearing Wang Yu's words, the eagle-riding Ape King's expression turned ugly. Yin Lao Air chuckled and added fuel to the fire. It's to tie your neck, grab your head, pry open your skull, and pour boiling oil in while you're still alive. Squeak, squeak. The eagle-riding Ape King was so scared that all its hair stood on end. After screaming, it took out 2 more books. That's all I have. Just give me a quick death. Just don't eat me. It didn't want to live, but to die quickly. It was clear that the eagle-riding Ape King was scared out of its wits by the 2 bad guys thinking about it. The eagle-riding Ape King originally thought that only magical beasts ate humans. It didn't expect humans to eat magical beasts. It was like humans eating sheep. If one day the sheep suddenly ate humans, it would be horrifying. Moreover, the method was so cruel. If not, no boss would be scared to the point of losing its sovereignty. Advanced horsemanship. Horsemanship skill. Can tame monsters as mounts. Has a certain chance of taming flying monsters as mounts. Class requirement. General. Wing sweep formation. Magic formation skill. Greatly increases the movement speed and attack power of all units in the party. Class requirement. General. Seeing these 2 books, Yin Lao Air's eyes almost popped out. Horsemanship skill and magic formation skill. It was said that the mount system would only be released after level 40, but anyone who played the game knew that without horsemanship skills, Even if you had a mount, you couldn't use it. And horsemanship skills were very rare no matter what stage of the game. A low-level horsemanship skill was already very rare. High-level horsemanship skills were even more priceless, not to mention a horsemanship skill that could tame flying mounts. In a holographic online game like Rebirth, flying mounts were definitely not as simple as increasing speed. As for wing sweep formation, it was even more valuable. Only knights had a group CC skill. Although knights didn't have much of an advantage now, in the later stages of the game, a qualified knight could CC a team of 20 people. This kind of CC skill was very useful in large-scale group dungeons and guild wars in the later stages. Therefore, no matter how awkward the knight's position was, it was still very popular in the later stages of the game. Wing sweep formation was not only a group CC skill, but it also greatly increased the CC of all targets on one side. Just by listening to the introduction, one could tell how powerful this skill was, especially the large increase. If converted to game data, it would be at least 50%. With this magic formation skill, a 50-man elite team could probably annihilate 500 enemies without a problem. This is still not enough. Inlao Air said greedily as he looked at the two skill books. This guy could casually toss out 2 invaluable skill books. If he extorted some more, he might really be able to get a godly weapon. Yes, that's right. These things will probably drop after we kill you. We still have EXP to take. Wang Yu nodded, agreeing. The eagle riding king panicked. It jumped up and down, shouting, "Squeak, squeak, despicable bastard, this is all I have. Even if you eat me, it's useless." The eagle riding king didn't seem to be faking it. After all, NPCs couldn't lie. Moreover, this guy was just a gatekeeper boss. It was already very surprising that he could take out so many items. "Brother, give us a little more, and we'll let you go." Inlao Air still refused to let go. The eagle riding king thought for a moment, saying, "If you let me go first, I'll tell you a secret." "You first." "No, you guys let me go first. I don't trust you." The eagle riding king had been tricked twice. "Give us a reason to trust you." The eagle riding king didn't trust players. Players were even less likely to trust NPCs, especially when the NPCs in Rebirth were so cunning. Chapter 468. Genius 1, second remember if you want to go. Talk, net, providing you with exciting novels to read. Can't lie. What a powerful reason. There is probably nothing more convincing than this. Love, go small, say, Netka. However, Wang Yu knew the system's character. Although it didn't lie, it always dug a hole for you to jump into. It was 10,000 times worse than lying. Therefore, even though the Eagle Rider King came up with this impeccable reason, Wang Yu didn't believe him. "Okay, you swear." Wang Yu threatened. The so-called oath here wasn't for the Eagle Rider King to swear, but for him to repeat the contents of the transaction to complete the agreement. After all, NPCs couldn't lie. If the Eagle Rider King lied, he would be destroyed. "If you let me go, I will give you a reminder. This reminder can help you find the hidden stage that increases the completion rate of the dungeon." The Eagle Rider King swore. The hidden stage? Wang Yu heard this and couldn't help but smile. He was in such a hurry to clear this dungeon because of this hidden stage. If the Eagle Rider King gave him a guide, it would be exactly what Wang Yu wanted. Of course, what Wang Yu didn't know was that this transaction was an Easter egg. When the player reached the second stage, as long as the Eagle Rider King felt that its life was in danger, it would take the initiative to propose this transaction. However, this Easter egg was only easy in the first 10 dungeons. The trigger point was the Eagle Rider King. "Yes, let me go. I will tell you immediately." "Gigi," the Eagle Rider King said eagerly. "What do you think? Let me go?" Wang Yu asked the other two. Inlao Air said, "Let him go, it's the hidden stage." Since he said so, he definitely won't lie. Wang Yu hesitated for a moment and said, "Why do I feel like something is wrong? The hidden stage won't kill us, right?" Wang Yu had encountered this kind of thing many times before. He absolutely trusted the system's integrity. "In any case, I've already told you the secret, so your death has nothing to do with me." Inlao Air said, "That can't be. For a dungeon of this level, even if it's a hidden level, How hard can it be? That's right, then I'll let him go. After hearing Yin Lao Air's words, Wang Yu thought about it and felt that it was indeed reasonable. Since it was a hidden stage that only appeared in the first 10 dungeons, players of that level should be able to clear it. Otherwise, this dungeon would be meaningless. Xuanzhen's team was definitely one of the top teams in the game. There was no reason for them to die. As he spoke, Wang Yu loosened a rope in his hand. The eagle-riding Ape King squeaked and ran to the edge of the cliff. Then, it roared towards the bottom of the mountain. What does that mean? The three of them were slightly taken aback. At that moment, Wuji suddenly asked in the party chat, "Is the boss above about to die? The monsters below are rushing up." CK. We've been tricked. Wang Yu's heart tightened. He rushed forward and swung his fist at the eagle-riding Ape King. Little did he know that the eagle-riding Ape King's agility was far above Wang Yu's. When it saw Wang Yu rush past it, it lightly jumped a few feet away and squeaked, "What are you doing?" Seeing the eagle-riding Ape King so agile, Wang Yu was also shocked. This time, he had really let the tiger return to the mountain. "Hurry up and tell me what secret it is." Wang Yu rushed forward again, shouting and swinging his fist. The eagle-riding Ape King laughed and once again dodged Wang Yu's attack. It jumped to Wang Yu's side and said, "I said I'll tell you, but I didn't say when I'll tell you. Don't worry, when my subordinates arrive, I'll tell you." CK. Hearing this, Wang Yu and the other two almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Once his subordinates arrive, would the three of them be able to escape? At that time, what use would knowing the secret be? Even if I tell you the secret, you won't have the chance to find it. The system's insidiousness really comes wave after wave. Wang Yu felt that there was a trap in the system's words. It seemed that the boss really couldn't be trusted. "Wuji, you guys try your best to stall the monsters. Stall for as long as you can." After Wang Yu sent a message in the chat, he turned to Yin Lao Air and Yang Na and said, "You two listen to my commands." "What are you planning?" Hearing Wang Yu's words, everyone in the chat asked. Wang Yu said, "Kill the boss." Everyone, since the group of monsters at the foot of the mountain was directly controlled by the eagle-riding Ape King, as long as Wang Yu killed it now, the group of monsters would be like a dragon without a leader. It was very likely that they would scatter. Even if they didn't scatter, without a formation, they could still be defeated one by one. Therefore, Wang Yu wanted to kill the eagle-riding Ape King before the group of monsters flew up. "Even we can't hit it. How are we supposed to kill it?" Yin Lao Air was a little puzzled. The three of them had all seen the eagle-riding Ape King's skills. It could jump tens of feet in a single leap. It was even more overpowered than teleportation. Even Wang Yu couldn't hit it, let alone the heavy tank. "I have a plan. Just listen to my commands later," Wang Yu said as he charged at the eagle-riding Ape King for the third time. The eagle-riding Ape King smiled slyly and jumped again. Wang Yu pointed to the left and said, 10 o'clock, stun the arrow. "Second bro, use charge and charge at me." Yang Na and Yin Lao Air received the order and immediately aimed at the direction Wang Yu was pointing at. The eagle-riding Ape King landed as if it had been rehearsed. Coincidentally, it landed where Wang Yu was pointing. At this time, Yang Na's stun arrow also arrived. Duong, as a boss, the eagle-riding Ape King was immune to crowd control. The stun arrow hit the eagle-riding Ape King's face and only caused it to pause for a moment. However, because of this pause, Yin Lao Air's charge slammed into the eagle-riding Ape King's body. Bang! The eagle-riding Ape King was pushed 2 meters to the right. At the same time, Wang Yu rushed to the eagle-riding Ape King's side. His staff struck the back of the eagle-riding Ape King's knee. The eagle-riding Ape King couldn't help but kneel on the ground. Did he really hit it? Yin Lao Air and Yang Na couldn't believe their eyes. The eagle-riding Ape King's speed was so fast that Yin Lao Air wasn't confident that he could hit it first. Wang Yu said, "Of course. Although I can't run as fast as him, I can see his trajectory. Naturally, I can deduce his landing point." The eagle-riding Ape King was fast, but in Wang Yu's eyes, it was nothing. The reason why Wang Yu couldn't hit was because of his lack of agility. However, Wang Yu could clearly see the eagle-riding Ape King's every move. From the moment the eagle-riding Ape King jumped, Wang Yu was able to deduce the eagle-riding Ape King's jumping trajectory from its legs. From there, he was able to deduce the eagle-riding Ape King's landing point. Hearing this, Yang Na's face paled. Trajectory? A place to stay? Yin Lao didn't quite understand. Projectile trajectory and target point. Do you understand now? Yang Na helped to explain. Damn, arrows are inanimate objects. The shooting distance is fixed. That monkey is a living thing. Chapter 469. The Eagle Rider King was considered an agile boss. After being hit by Wang Yu's attack, it immediately rolled backwards in an attempt to quick recover and escape. Wang Yu, of course, knew what he was thinking. When the Eagle Rider King rolled backwards, Wang Yu took a step forward. Before the Eagle Rider King could stand up, Wang Yu's staff struck the back of the Eagle Rider King's knee. The Eagle Rider King fell to the ground again. Wang Yu pulled back his staff and slammed it into the back of the Eagle Rider King's head. The Eagle Rider King screeched as it clutched its head and fell to the ground. Are you done yet? We won't be able to stop it for much longer. At that moment, Wu Ji sent another message. It wasn't that the people below were too incompetent, but that the opponent was too special. If it were any other monster, not to mention stopping it, even if they were to kill it, the people of the Quan Jun sect were confident that they could do so. However, it was too difficult for them to ask a two-legged person to stop a monster with wings. What's the rush? We've just started. Wang Yu was busy dealing with the Eagle Rider King and didn't have time to deal with Wu Ji, so Yin Lao sent a message. We just started? Wu Ji was shocked. How did this happen? Didn't we hit to low health? At first, Wu Ji thought that the Ape Rider King had gone berserk, which was why it had called for his underlings. Little did he know that they had only attacked the boss a few times, and the Ape Rider King's HP was still above 90%. Nope, just try to stall it. The boss is already under control. Let's kill it as soon as possible. Yin Lao replied to Wu Ji, then joined the battle with Yang Na. Without a mount, the Eagle Rider King's attack and defense were reduced by 80%. At first, it was still able to escape from Wang Yu's staff. However, when Wang Yu decided to stick to it, even an epic-tier boss couldn't escape, let alone a mere monkey. Wang Yu held the long rod in his hand. It was not like what was written in the novels, where the rod's shadow would cover the sky and cover the target every time. Wang Yu's moves weren't fast, and each move was predictable. However, these seemingly ordinary attacks were like a sturdy iron gate, sealing off all of the Eagle Rider King's escape routes. Every time the eagle-riding Ape King moved, Wang Yu's long staff would arrive and beat it until it cried out in pain, not daring to get up. After a few times, it simply lay there motionlessly with its butt in the air. Although the Ape King's attack and defense had been reduced by 80%, it was still a boss. Moreover, it was the kind of boss that could make people despair just by looking at its HP bar. Even if it lay there without retaliating, the three of them wouldn't be able to kill it in a short period of time. At this time on the mountainside, the monsters were rushing up the mountain, and the people on the mountainside were feeling more and more powerless. Now, these monsters were all pulled up into the air, completely out of everyone's attack range. Sorcerer, climb up, no matter the cost, pull the aggro back. Wu Ji knew that if these monsters flew up, Wang Yu's group would be in danger, so he gave the order to risk their lives. Got it. Mingdu received the order and immediately ran up. Hearing this, proud Snowfrost's face showed a troubled expression. Damn, are you crazy? Thunder God roared angrily. While Wang Yu's group was dealing with the boss, Wu Ji and the others were also entangled with these monsters for a long time. As such, everyone knew that these monsters had a special attribute, aggro increase. If the players on the ground dodged and fought back, these monsters would only randomly throw rocks in the air. Once the damage was over a certain amount in a short period of time, these monsters would collectively go berserk. The duration of the berserk was determined by the damage overflow. Just now, when everyone went down the mountain because they dealt too much damage, it caused these monsters to collectively go berserk, almost wiping them out. Sorcerers were the most violent damage dealers, and Mingdu was the most violent of all violent. Now, Wuji actually wanted Mingdu to pull aggro at all costs. He was clearly looking for death. Wuji said, "If we don't do this, we won't be able to clear the dungeon. Why don't we risk it? I can guarantee everyone's safety." "You have an invincibility skill. Of course you would say that. I don't believe you." Thunder God said disdainfully. This guy was also once bitten, twice shy. Just now, he had been so badly tricked by Wuji, so naturally he didn't trust Wuji. "Gundog, what about you?" Wuji ignored Thunder God and turned to ask Dugu Juqiang. Wuji's meaning was clear. "Who do you think you are? Your boss hasn't said anything yet." Dugu Juqiang thought for a moment, then said to Proud Snow Frost, "Frost, go help." "You." Lei Gombi was exasperated. He had never imagined that the solitary 9 spears would side with an outsider at this time. Dugu Juqiang said, "If we can clear the monsters by holding them back, why not try it? I believe in Wuji Dog. Wuji Dog definitely won't disappoint me." Chun Xiang laughed. "Gundog is still so annoying, but at least he's like him. You guys are the same." Proud Snow Frost was Dugu Juqiang's closest subordinate, so he naturally listened to Dugu Juqiang. After receiving Dugu Juqiang's orders, he followed behind Mingdu, climbing up the stairs. When the two of them climbed to the same height as the monsters, the sky full of monsters had already flown over. Mingdu pointed to the area behind the monsters. "I'll use my skill for 3 seconds. You throw a blizzard spell behind, then go down the mountain." "Okay." Proud Snow Frost nodded with a bit of surprise. Proud Snow Frost was also an expert, so he naturally knew that Mingdu wanted him to run first. Xuanzhen's people were still so selfless. Even Proud Snow Frost wouldn't believe it if he told others. Actually, these people from Xuanzhen were only unscrupulous towards targets that weren't on their side. Towards the comrades that they recognized, even the violent Mingdu, they had a strong sense of teamwork. Since Dugu Jiuqiang trusted Wuji, Proud Snow Frost temporarily listed Mingdu as a comrade. In the blink of an eye, the monsters flew in front of the two of them. Mingdu waved his staff, and Fire Thunder Sky landed in the middle of the monsters, bringing with it a wave of miserable screams. Mingdu's damage was even higher than that of a freak like Wang Yu. After 3 seconds of Fire Thunder Sky, all the monsters in the sky flashed with a red light. Seeing that this red light was even more dazzling than before, these monsters probably wouldn't be able to calm down for 30 seconds. After the monsters in the sky went berserk, Proud Snow Frost threw a blizzard spell behind the monsters, then quickly ran to the waist of the mountain. The berserk monsters stared at the Fire Thunder Sky, then quickly gathered at Mingdu's position. At this time, they were getting closer and closer to Mingdu. Mingdu ran a few steps forward. Then his figure flashed and landed under the blizzard spell. The monsters in the sky roared and chased after him. When the monsters reached the location of the blizzard spell, they were all slowed down. Mingdu took this opportunity to run back to the waist of the mountain. Seeing that Mingdu had returned, Wuji pointed at the rocks and said, "Cloth and leather armor classes, go to the corner. Plate and heavy armor classes, hold up this wave of berserk." Chapter 470. After receiving Wuji's command, everyone ran to the position Wuji specified. However, the space under the rock was not big. At most, only 3 people could stand there. Mingdu, Proud Snow, Frost, and Brother Spring filled the space under the rock. They did not know when Wang Yu, who was on the mountain, would kill the boss. The 2 mages still had to gather the aggro of the boss, so they could not die. Brother Chun would act as a tank at a crucial moment, so he could not die either. Thinking up to this point, Wuji, Dao Shui, and the others stood to the side. Without the protection of the rock, the edge of the area was still relatively dangerous. However, there was no other way. In this situation, no matter how powerful Wuji was, he could not take care of more than 10 people. In comparison, he was not important. Seeing Wuji stand to the side, Leibo followed and stood beside Wuji. Wuji was puzzled. "Why are you following me? Go stand over there." "Didn't I say that I'm responsible for protecting you?" Leibo said with a grin. Hee hee. Wuji smiled and said, Thank you very much. Labua had just been tricked by Wuji, so he could not wait for Wuji to die. How could he be so kind? The reason Labua followed Wuji was that he instinctively believed that Wuji was full of evil tricks. He had always adhered to the principle of letting others die, so as long as he followed Wuji, he would be safe. Who was Wuji? How could Labua's little thoughts hide from him? Since Labua was so willing to die, Wuji could not be bothered to remind him. At the same time, he looked down on Labua. What a professional, only relying on intuition and not brains. No matter how strong you are, that's all there is to it. At this time, the magic apes had already passed through the blizzard and caught up to everyone. Spring waved his staff, and 6 demons were summoned. They formed a line of defense with the warriors and knights in the front, blocking the mages and assassins behind them. Summon imps? Label was very knowledgeable and immediately recognized this overpowered skill. The members of the Quan Jin sect were truly each more terrifying than the last. There were grandmasters of combat, mages with incredibly high damage, and mages with incredibly accurate predictions. This time, they were even using legendary skills. Lei Gondi couldn't help but feel shocked. The aggro of the demonic hawk ape in the sky was currently on Bright Doe, Proud Snow, and Frost. Bright Doe and the others were standing with their backs against the wall. In front of them, the warrior and Chun Xiang's demon were drawing the firepower. Bright Doe and the other 2 were still very safe. However, Wuji and the assassins did not have it so well. Wave after wave of rocks fell from the sky. Warriors and knights had thick skin, so they could still take a few hits. However, assassins and clerics could be crushed to death if they were the slightest bit careless. At this moment, Wuji no longer cared about pretending to be a weakling. He dodged the rocks while healing 9 solitary spears and Bao San. How are things on the mountain? Seeing that the situation had stabilized, Wuji asked Wang Yu about the situation on the mountain. There was not much time left for the monsters to go berserk. Moreover, the monsters were not easy to deal with. If the boss was dying, there was no need to attract the next wave of aggro. Of course, Wuji had clearly overestimated Wang Yu's ability. The boss on the mountain was a boss. No matter how amazing a person was, it was impossible to kill a boss in 30 seconds, even if the boss could not fight back. Of course, Wuji had clearly overestimated Wang Yu's ability. The boss on the mountain was a boss. No matter how amazing a person was, it was impossible to kill a boss in 30 seconds, even if the boss could not fight back. There's still 30% left. You guys hold on a little longer. Wang Yu replied. At this point, the eagle-riding Ape King had completely given up on resisting. Wang Yu and the other 2 pinned it to the ground and gave it a good beating. Unfortunately, the Ape King's health bar was so high that it made Wang Yu feel powerless for the first time. Wuji. After this wave, the team had consumed more than 60% of their potions. Moreover, there were still stronger bosses to come. Holding on for a little longer was like holding on effortlessly. Just as Wuji was ridiculing Wang Yu, an exclamation mark suddenly appeared above the heads of the Ape Kings in the sky. Then, they all turned to look at Wuji. Crap! The healing is overflowing. The aggro has shifted. Seeing this, Wuji and Lei Gongdang took a step back in unison. When a healer's healing exceeded the damage output, the aggro of the monsters would shift to the healer. The 30 seconds of healing from Wuji had exceeded the damage from Mingdu and Ao Shuling. If the monsters were OT at this time, it would definitely disrupt the team's rhythm. If they did not get rid of the aggro as soon as possible, the team would definitely be wiped. I'll go ahead and tank the monsters. Seeing this, Lei Gongdang turned to run. He was an expert, so he naturally understood that the area around Wuji was the most dangerous place. Wuji grabbed Lei Gongdang and said, "No need. Just protect me. I also want to protect you, but I belong to everyone," Lei Gongdang said shamelessly and ran to the front. How could Wuji let him go? He followed closely behind. "Damn, Wuji, you old dog. What are you doing at the front?" Dugu Jiuqiang shouted when he saw Wuji running to the front. "Damn, Wuji, what are you doing at the front?" Dugu Jiuqiang shouted when he saw Wuji running to the front. Dugu Jiuqiang and Bao San were busy tanking the rocks in the sky and did not notice that the aggro had shifted. However, before Wuji could reply, rocks fell from the sky like rain. Damn! We OT! Dugu Jiuqiang immediately shouted. The monster's target was Mingdu and Tenacious Frost. The monsters were throwing rocks at them. With the protection of the rocks and walls, the rocks would not hit their target. With the help of the demons, Dugu Jiuqiang and Bao San only needed to tank the threatening rocks. Now the monster's aggro was concentrated on Wuji. Wuji's position was so obvious. This wave of rocks would definitely not leave any survivors. Just as Dugu Jiuqiang closed his eyes and waited for death, he suddenly saw Wuji wave his staff. A red light and a white light covered himself and Bao San respectively. Then, Wuji and Lei Gongdang were buried by the rocks. It was invincible aura. Before Wuji died, he used Divine Shield and Boundary to keep Dugu Jiuqiang and Bao San. Clang! 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 The rain of rocks fell on Dugu Jiuqiang and Bao San. Under the invincible state, the rain of rocks did not even cause a ripple. At this time, the others also understood Wuji's intention. The most direct solution after an OT was the death of the IT target. At the crucial moment, the shameless Wuji did not hesitate to sacrifice himself. CKU, you trick me again. Lei Gongdang and Wuji released their souls to wait for resurrection. Lei Gongdang was so angry that his hair stood on end. Wuji chuckled. You said you would protect me. Look, didn't I die with you? I don't need to die. Lei Gongdang wanted to cry. If you OT, just die by yourself. Why are you dragging me along? It's so lonely for me to die alone. At least I won't be lonely with you. Chapter 471. With Wuji dead, the aggro returned to Mingdu and Tenacious Snow Frost. Bao San and Dugu Jiuqiang, in their invincibility state, were able to adapt to the rhythm of the battle. At the same time, the three people on top of the mountain had beaten the Ape King to a sliver of HP. With one last punch left, the Ape King suddenly stood up with super armor. This shocked the three people. They had beaten it up for so long, but it didn't react at all. Could it be that it wanted to counterattack? Who knew that after the Ape King stood up, it would point at Wang Yu and say, "Under your feet." Under my feet? Wang Yu was slightly stunned. What? The Ape King didn't answer Wang Yu's words and directly laid on the ground as a corpse. The three people were all silent. This boss was really strange. What happened to his feet? Why didn't he say anything else? Eunuchs were really hateful. With the boss dead, the monsters at the bottom of the mountain lost their leader. They didn't have the slightest reluctance to leave the battlefield and immediately scattered. System notification. Successfully repelled the 6th Apostle's blockade. Dungeon completion rate increased. Everyone at the bottom of the mountain saw that the boss was dead and the monsters had retreated. Only then did they let out a sigh of relief. But when they thought about how Wuji and Lei Gongdun had died and were blocked at the bottom of the mountain, they let out another sigh. Lei Gongdun's character was a bit lacking, but he was really strong. As a tank, he was absolutely indispensable in the team. Wuji was the dungeon's commander, the most important person in the dungeon. Without him, the later dungeons would definitely be much harder to clear. At this time, everyone realized that having a sinister and cunning person as a teammate was really not bad. Still not reviving? If we don't, we won't be able to complete the dungeon again. It was time to revive. Lei Gongdun wanted to revive, but was stopped by Wuji. He was in a bad mood. Wuji said, "The mountain path is blocked. We'll revive at the save point of the first stage. Even if we revive, we won't be able to complete the dungeon. Bastard, I'll kill you." Hearing Shi Feng's words, Lei Gongdung's resentment soared. Not only had he failed the first time, but he had also died the second time. Based on Wuji's words, he wouldn't even have a chance to clear the next dungeon, much less obtain a completion rate. Thinking of this, the Thunder God King was furious. If it weren't for the fact that it was in soul form, it would have strangled Wuji to death. Wuji waved his hand and said, "Don't mess around. As long as you listen to me, we can definitely keep up with the progress." "Then what do you suggest we do?" He had already made up his mind. If Wuji could not come up with a good idea, he would immediately quit the dungeon. Wait for 3 minutes before reviving, Wuji said. Wait for 3 minutes. Lei Gongdang was stunned and asked, "Why?" Wuji laughed and said, "What an expert. Haven't you heard of dragging corpses?" Dragging corpses meant that after players enter the dungeon, they would release their souls but not revive. They would wait until the other players in the team reached the end of the dungeon before reviving. At that time, the revived players would appear at the end of the dungeon and eat the boss's EXP and rewards. This was a very old dungeon clearing technique. It was usually used for high-level players to carry low-level players. Lei Gongdang was an advanced professional player. He did not have the time to carry others, nor would he be carried by others. Therefore, he did not think of this technique in the beginning. "Are you sure you can drag corpses in this game?" Lei Gongdang asked. Dragging corpses was not suitable for every game. Some games treated this mechanism as a bug. "Let's give it a try. Anyway, it's already like this." Wuji spread his hands and said. If the two of them tried, there was still hope. If they did not try, they would definitely be trapped at the bottom of the mountain. F***CK? Lei Gongdang was in a terrible mood. Without the monsters blocking their way, the group at the mountainside climbed up much faster. After 3 minutes, they reached the top of the mountain. At that time, Wuji and Lei Gongdang chose to revive. With a flash of light, the two of them climbed up from the save point at the top of the mountain. "Huh? Why did you revive here?" Everyone was very surprised to see Wuji and Lei Gongdang appear at the top of the mountain. Seeing the group on the mountain, Wuji said to Lei Gongdang proudly, "How is it? I told you that corpse dragging is possible." "Oh, so it's corpse dragging." Everyone was an expert, so they naturally knew what corpse dragging meant. "Oomph. Just you wait." Lei Gongdang glared at Wuji and said ruthlessly. Lei Gongdang had already made up his mind. He would kill Wuji every time he saw him in the future. He would not waste time talking nonsense. Dugu Zhuqiang's heart skipped a beat when he heard that. He thought to himself, this kid really doesn't learn his lesson. Does he not learn his lesson after dying twice in a row? Even if you want to take revenge, you have to wait until we get out. He even dares to trick himself. What do you think about the rest of the dungeon? Wuji smiled and ignored Lei Gongdang. The eagle-riding Ape King did not drop any items. The 3 books were extorted from Wang Yu's group. They were not part of the team's loot. Naturally, Wang Yu's group of 3 split the books among themselves. Even if they did not drop any equipment, clearing the dungeon was already very good for the team. After all, this was a faction dungeon. The most important thing about faction dungeons was not the equipment, but the experience gained. After reorganizing themselves, the team continued to raid the dungeon. After climbing out of the valley, they discovered that they were not at the top of a mountain. Instead, they were at a plateau. According to Yu Huiqing's map, this was the Setting Sun Plateau. The Setting Sun Plateau in the dungeon was much larger than the Setting Sun Plateau in the world map. Moreover, it was not like the endless wasteland outside. The Setting Sun Plateau in the dungeon had flowers, grass, and trees. Although they were not very dense, the scenery here was much better than the wasteland. However, such a large piece of land was strangely quiet. There was not even a single monster. With the previous 2 experiences as a lesson, the team did not dare to be careless again. They lined up in formation with the tank in front, the damage dealers in the back, and the spring soaring demon at the back. The team looked to the sky and looked to the left and right. They carefully moved forward, afraid that another monster like the eagle-riding ape would ambush them. This place is so strange. Why is it so dead? Mingdu asked cautiously after walking for a long time. Rebirth put a lot of effort into the game's sound effects. The environment in the game was no different from reality. When they were climbing up the mountain, although there were no monsters on the mountain path, they could still hear the sounds of insects and birds. However, this plateau was strangely quiet. Other than the sound of footsteps, there was not a single sound. The monsters here can't be ghosts, right? To place one's pride suddenly said, scaring everyone. Although the sun was setting, they felt a chill down their spine. Yang now pointed at the place one's pride and said, If you dare to talk nonsense again, I'll kill you. Chapter 472. Chun Xiang said, "This place is close to the mountains and has no yin energy. The yang energy is very strong, so there won't be any ghosts. Are you sure the system knows feng shui?" Chun Xiang was speechless. In broad daylight, the system dared to farm skeletons all over the valley. Naturally, it wouldn't care if it spawned a bunch of ghosts. Wang Yu said confidently, "There are no ghosts, otherwise I would have seen them." "You've seen ghosts before?" Everyone was shocked. Wang Yu said, "Ghosts, I've seen them before. They're green and floating around." "Oh, that's true." Hearing this, everyone came back to their senses. This was a F*King Western fantasy game. The ghosts in it had a physical form, not the kind that came and went without a trace. Of course, even if they didn't see them, they didn't let their guard down. If the skeletons had appeared, would the ghosts be far away? "Brother Chun, what do you think ghosts usually hide?" To place one's pride had the mentality of a young man, so he didn't let go of this topic. Chun Xiang said, "In the corners, in the shadows, places with heavy yin energy." "Is that so? I thought they were all hiding underground." To place one's pride said thoughtfully, "Are you willing to have your head stepped on?" "Nope." "Then that's it. You're so stupid, yet you're unwilling." F***CK. As the two of them talked about feudal superstition, Wang Yu suddenly thought of something and quickly said, "Everyone be careful. Pay attention to your feet." When they killed the Ape Rider King, the Ape Rider King said to Wang Yu, "It's under your feet." It probably meant that there would be monsters under his feet. Thinking of this, Wang Yu couldn't help but sigh. The Ape Rider King was a noble boss that kept its word. It didn't forget to fulfill its promise even before its death. F***CK, it can't be. How can a system be so shameless? Dugu Jiuqiang and the others were shocked when they heard this. Nonsense. You're already here, and you only know that the system is shameless? If that's the case, then it'll be difficult. Underground monsters could be said to be the most disgusting monsters in the game. Monsters could fly, and players could use arrows and magic. Monsters could swim. Even if their attributes were reduced underwater, players could at least go into the water. However, if the monsters burrowed underground, how are they supposed to fight them? Arrows and spells couldn't reach the ground, so players shouldn't be able to burrow into the ground. This sixth apostle really was full of talents, his subordinates reaching the heavens and diving into the earth, all kinds of people. With Wang Yu's reminder, aside from the sky, everyone was now wary of the ground. In ancient times, there were people who were besieged on all sides, and today, there were people who were terrified on all sides. This could also be considered a beautiful scene. Although everyone was constantly on guard along the way, they were almost at the end of the plateau, and there were no monsters under their feet, as Wang Yu had said. "Old cow, you're really becoming more and more evil." Xuanzhen's group didn't encounter any monsters, and they thought that Wang Yu was joking to scare them. After all, when the animals in Xuanzhen weren't causing trouble, they would play with each other. However, after playing together for more than a month, this was the first time that Wang Yu had played a prank, and even Wuji had fallen for it. "What do you mean?" Wang Yu was stunned when he heard this, and he asked casually, "Aren't you lying to us? You scared us so much that we were on tenterhooks," Mingdu said with a smile. Wang Yu said solemnly, "I never lie. Come on, we're already so scared, and you're still pretending." "I really didn't lie," Wang Yu explained. "When the eagle-riding Ape King died, he told me that." "Last words?" "Old cow, you can't even find a reliable reason to lie." After hearing Wang Yu's words, everyone was even more certain that Wang Yu was joking. Yin Lao Air and Yang Na also smiled. They only said to pay attention to their feet, but they didn't say that there were monsters under their feet. Wang Yu actually used this as an excuse to place one's pride, jumped up, and stomped on the ground with eagle stamp. He said proudly, "Uncle Nyo, there really is a monster under the ground. Look, I kicked his face hard." Wang Yu was speechless for a moment. "Okay, maybe I misunderstood. You're just fooling, hoo. Before everyone finished speaking, a muffled sound like thunder suddenly came from under their feet. "Run, there really is something down there." Everyone's expression changed. Just as they were about to escape from the plateau, the ground began to tremble. Before they could run more than a few meters away, the ground within a 20-meter radius around them suddenly sank. Then, a gigantic mouth rushed out from below and swallowed everyone on the ground. F***CK, it's over. Seeing the mouth that was as big as a swimming pool slowly closing, everyone felt a sense of despair. They had gone through so much to reach this place, only to be eaten by a monster. This was too dramatic. Why isn't there a notification of death? Are you guys dead? Wuji was the first to notice something was wrong. The monster's mouth was pitch black, and it couldn't see the people around it. Therefore, Wuji couldn't tell if they were dead or not. No. So you guys didn't die either? How did this happen? Is there something wrong with the system? Hearing Wuji shout, the others also began to speak. Could it be that it wants us to experience the feeling of being digested in his shit? There was no need to guess. The one who spoke must be Chunxiang. He had always been this disgusting. No way. Hearing that, everyone's hair stood on end. Who touched my butt? Suddenly, Yang Na shouted. Standing with this bunch of hooligans in a pitch-black place was really hard on the lady. Yang Na's shout was meant to shock and awe the rascals, but she had underestimated Quan Jun. It would have been better if she hadn't shouted, but the moment she shouted, it immediately alerted them. Soon, she was touched several times. F***CK, you bastards. Who touched my chest? Yang Na shouted again. Wuji chuckled and threw out a holy light ball sinisterly. The pure white holy light ball was brighter than a fluorescent lamp, illuminating the entire space. Yang Na's chest was pressed by a large hand. The owner of the hand, Wang Yu, was looking around expressionlessly. Seeing this scene, cold sweat flowed down Wuji's forehead. Everyone from Quan Jun looked at Wuji in unison with sympathy. This was awkward. They thought that Wang Yu wouldn't do such a thing, which was why Wuji dared to throw the holy light ball. Who knew that things would end up like this? Wuji had personally witnessed Wang Yu's ferocity. So it's you. Why are you standing beside me? Seeing that everyone was looking at him, Wang Yu looked at Yang Na in a daze. Hooligan. Yang Na glared at Wang Yu with a dark expression as she scolded him. Wang Yu's expression changed. With a straight face, he asked, "Don't tell me you think I did it on purpose?" Everyone said in unison, "Didn't you do it on purpose? Do you have to do that? I'm not even as big as mine." Wang Yu gestured, and Yang Na's expression darkened even more. Just when everyone was disdainful of Wang Yu's stupidity, their eyes suddenly lit up, and the surrounding scene changed. System prompt. Discovered hidden instance dungeon. Inside the colossal beast exploration. Chapter 473. Following the system notification, everyone's map name changed to Ancient Beast Icaria's body. Damn, that scared me. I thought I was going to turn into shit. So it's a hidden dungeon. Seeing the system notification, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. A hidden dungeon was a dungeon that could only be activated under special conditions. It seemed that this was the so-called faction dungeon's hidden storyline. Who are you people? At this moment, a thunderous voice rang out in everyone's ears. The tone of the voice seemed to be extremely furious. Everyone was shocked when they heard it. At the same time, the monster's attributes appeared before everyone's eyes. Ancient Beast Decaria, Dark Old Boss, Epic, HP, MP. Skills. Special characteristics. Monster introduction. An ancient beast so powerful that even gods and demons have to retreat before it. F***CK. It was actually a boss filled with question marks. Moreover, based on the map, everyone was currently in the belly of this boss. Damn it, even God had to retreat from this thing. Didn't this mean that this thing was invincible? Facing such a boss, who would dare think of a hidden storyline? The group hurriedly used teleportation tools, hoping to teleport out of this map. However, the system notification stated that the teleportation tool could not be used in this map. Seeing the system notification, everyone in the team panicked. Actually, I'm just passing by. I don't know anyone here. You've mistaken me for someone else, Wuji shouted at the air. The ancient beast ignored Wuji and angrily said, is it that disturbed my slumber? It's him. Everyone in the Quan Jun team pointed at To Place One's Pride in unison. If To Place One's Pride had not stomped his feet, this beast would not have come out. At the same time, everyone prayed inwardly. If you want to eat someone, eat him. This has nothing to do with me. One death is better than the whole team being wiped out. Damn, you disloyal people. To Place One's Pride was so anxious that he cried after being betrayed in the blink of an eye. Mingdu comforted. It's okay. You're still a child. You're still young. You have plenty of time to level up. That's right. This old man has already warned you that the gods are watching from above. Look at you. You've really disappointed this old man. Chunxiang also ran out to smooth things over. You bitches. To Place One's Pride cursed. He pointed at Wang Yu and shouted, It's all Uncle Nyo's fault. Uncle Nyo said there was a monster underground. That's why I stomped my feet. Everyone turned to look at Wang Yu. Wang Yu glared at everyone and said, Did I say that? Everyone's heart tightened as they said, No. To Place One's Pride, it's just that his legs are cheap. The people of Chuanjin were all smart. Whether it was offending Wang Yu or To Place One's Pride, as long as they had a brain, they would know what to do. You bastards. To Place One's Pride had tears streaming down his face. Dugu Jiuqiang and the others were dumbfounded as they watched from the side. Damn, this small group of a dozen or so people are so disunited. How are they going against us? Just as Chuanjin and the others were about to drag To Place One's Pride out to feed the boss, the ancient beast spoke again. My stomach isn't feeling well. Wuji pointed at To Place One's Pride and said, It's okay. This kid has soft skin and tender flesh. Young master, his taste is excellent. You can slowly enjoy it. The ancient beast continued to ignore Wuji and said to himself, If you can help me, I'll let you go. System notification. The ancient beast Ekaria has issued the dungeon quest. My stomach isn't feeling well. Level none. Do you wish to help the ancient beast? Note, teleportation items cannot be used in this dungeon. Death or completion of the quest is the only way to leave. Seeing the system notification, everyone was instantly petrified. I'll die if I don't help, Wuji asked the ancient beast. The ancient beast said in a muffled voice, Your generalization is very accurate. Do we even have a choice? We'll help. Hearing this, everyone unanimously chose to help. System notification. You have accepted the dungeon quest. My stomach is hungry. Quest level. None. Exterminate the parasites in Decaria's body. 30 seconds later, you will be teleported to Decaria's stomach. Current completion rate, 0%. After accepting the quest, everyone calmed down slightly. It turned out that it was just exterminating the parasites in the ancient beast's body. It did not seem very difficult. Seeing the ancient beast so angry, everyone thought that it was going to eat them. After the 30 seconds countdown, the scene before everyone's eyes changed once more. They were teleported to a huge space. Map name, Decaria's stomach. One had to admit that this ancient beast was really big. Just its stomach alone was actually so wide. The entire stomach space was even bigger than the school field. The ground and walls were meaty, and there were depressions on the ground. There was some yellow liquid in the depressions, and there was liquid dripping down from the top of the stomach from time to time. Wang Yu took out a white sword and stabbed it into the yellow liquid not far away from him. With a hiss, the white sword melted. System notification, weapon destroyed. Damn it. Seeing this scene, everyone turned pale with fright and hurriedly cast a detection spell over. The ancient beast's stomach acid, extremely corrosive. Wuji reminded them, walk around it. No one will be able to fish this thing if it falls in. This stomach acid was even worse than sulfuric acid. One would die if they touched it. Death was not scary, but what if this thing melted their equipment? Actually, there was no need for Wuji's reminder. Seeing that scene, everyone subconsciously hid far away. Right now, the location of the party was at the bottom of the stomach, which was also where Decaria's intestines were connected. Although everyone was in Decaria's stomach, the lighting inside was still very good. Was this a game? It was just so unscientific. Looking out from the stomach, Decaria's intestines were like a cave, crisscrossing and bottomless. Hiss. Wang Yu gasped and asked, "This isn't a maze, is it?" Wang Yu was not afraid of anything, but he was afraid of mazes and forests. "Obviously it is," Wu Ji said with certainty. "Do we have to go in?" Wang Yu asked again. He really did not want to wander around in the maze. Of course, the parasites are not in the stomach. All right. Wang Yu nodded helplessly and followed the party into the depths of Dicaria's intestines. Dicaria's stomach alone was so huge, and his intestines were even bigger. As the party walked along the intestines, it was like walking into a huge sewer. It was very spacious and scary. After walking for a short while, everyone saw the monster inside the ancient beast's body. However, after seeing the monster, everyone could not help but be startled. It was too disgusting. After playing games for so long, they had seen all kinds of ugly monsters. However, after seeing the parasites, it was really an eye-opener. There was only one mouth on its slender body. The parasite's mouth was divided into 8 parts. When it opened, it was filled with suckers. It made people's stomachs squirm. Rather than saying that this thing was ugly and disgusting, it was more of an ugly personality. In any case, this was a monster that was so ugly that it cried, "P.S. I drank a little too much today, so I'm a little slow at typing and dizzy." To be continued. Chapter 474. Other than the ugly parasites, there were also some round monsters beside them. These monsters were divided into red, white, and yellow. They looked very cute. When placed together with the parasites, the ugly ones were even uglier and the cute ones were even cuter. It was a sight to behold. Evil Parasite, LV35, Elite, HP, 5000 MP, 0 skill. Alien Parasite, Corrosion Vitality. Monster Introduction, very dangerous parasite with tenacious vitality. Dicaria's Red Blood Cell, LV35, Elite, HP, 50,000 MP, 400 skill. Dispel Abnormality, Healing Blood. Monster Introduction, Dicaria's Source of Life. The parasites live on it. Dicaria's White Blood Cell, LV35, Elite, HP, 20,000 MP, 0 skill. Bacteriophage Monster Introduction, a creature that hates all outsiders. Dicaria's Platelets, LV35, Elite, HP, 100,000 MP, 0 skill. Monster Introduction, so cute. Do you have a heart to hurt him? At this moment, the parasites were running after the red blood cells with their mouths full of suckers. They thought it was cute, but when they saw the monster introduction, they felt weird. It didn't feel good to watch the parasites eat flesh and blood. What a trashy monster. Looking at the attributes of the monsters, Dugu Jiuqiang was speechless again. Dugu Jiuqiang couldn't be blamed for saying that. They were all experts above LV30, and monsters with 5,000 HP were normal monsters around LV20. They were indeed too weak to appear in such a place. Wuji rolled his eyes and said, "Then why don't you go and start the fight?" The attributes of these monsters were bad, especially the parasites with only 5,000 HP. Wuji didn't think that they were easy to deal with. After all, it was something that even the ancient beast had a headache for. How could it be easy to deal with? Moreover, the red blood cells' attributes were 10 times that of the parasites. Judging a monster's strength by its HP was outdated, especially at this level. A monster with such a low HP could only mean that it wasn't afraid of death, or it couldn't die. Hearing this, Dugu Jiuqiang did not reply. As the saying goes, "A fall into the pit, a gain in your wit." The lesson of the bone burial ground was still fresh in his mind. At this time, he would definitely not be fooled again. "Look at your cowardly face," Wuji said to Dugu Jiuqiang in disdain. He then said to Yang Na, "Start the fight." Yang Na knocked an arrow and shot it at Platelet, who looked the most harmless. Platelet swayed slightly when he was hit by the arrow. He glanced at Yang Na and took 2 steps back. Everyone was speechless when they saw this situation. They had played the game for so long, and they had only seen small monsters that entered a state of aggro after being hit. They had never seen a small monster that not only did it not retaliate, but it even retreated after being hit. This was too cowardly. "Try hitting the red one." Wuji pointed at the red blood cells. The parasites were too strange. Wuji didn't dare to fight them recklessly. He could only pick the weaker ones first. F*CKU. Another arrow flew over and hit the red blood cell. 24511, the red blood cell's HP dropped by half. Everyone looked at Yang Na as if they were looking at a monster. Archers relied on continuous damage output to make a living. Although their attack power was high, it couldn't be compared to mages and assassins. An archer could casually hit over 20,000 damage with an arrow. It was terrifying at this stage. It's not me. Yang Na was also shocked. She quickly waved her hand and said, "My attack power isn't that high. Could it be that this guy is a protected monster that can't be attacked?" Wuji mumbled when he heard this. In Rebirth, there was a type of monster called Protected Monster. It was a monster that players would encounter when they were playing guard mode. This monster's HP was average. When it was attacked by the enemy, it would lose HP normally. When it was attacked by the guard, it would be judged as a dismantle attack, and the HP lost would increase by 10 times. Just as Wuji was guessing the attributes of the red blood cell, Dicaria's muffled voice rang out, "So uncomfortable, it really is a protected monster." Hearing Dicaria's voice, everyone was even more certain of Wuji's words. Red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets were all parts of Dicaria's body. Since they were helping Dicaria, they should be protecting his cells from being attacked by the parasite. After understanding this point, Wuji pointed at the parasite and said, "Attack that parasite." Yang Na's attack just now had almost killed the red blood cell. The parasite pounced on the red blood cell and knocked it to the ground. Yang Na received the order and shot an arrow at the parasite that was biting the red blood cell. 1954, the parasite's HP dropped by a huge chunk. Then it raised its head and pounced at everyone. Shield warriors, hold on. Lei Gongdai and Yin Lao Air went up together and used taunt on the parasite. This was the awkwardness of experts without coordination. They had the same awareness and the same mechanics, but they made unnecessary moves. Yin Lao Air reacted faster and used taunt first. The parasite sprayed a mouthful of green saliva at Yin Lao Air. Yin Lao Air raised his shield and blocked the saliva. Then his face turned pale. The shield's block value did not drop, but its durability dropped by 1/5. What a terrifying monster. At the same time, Lei Gongdai's taunt arrived. The parasite's aggro shifted to Lei Gongdai. Lei Gongdai's shield's durability was 0. His secondary equipment was a two-handed sword. Seeing that the parasite's aggro was on him, Lei Gongdai swung his greatsword. The parasite's body was long and thin. It was unwise to use a sword. The parasite did not dodge. It curled its body and wrapped itself around Lei Gongdai's blade. Lei Gongdai retracted his greatsword. The parasite that was wrapped around Lei Gongdai's blade pounced forward and opened its mouth. A circle of suckers sucked on Lei Gongdai's face. Then, the parasite's tail curled and stuck into Lei Gongdai's mouth. Blark, seeing this disgusting scene, everyone retched. If they were not in the game, they would have puked their guts out on the spot. The game designer's taste was too heavy. How could he design such a disgusting monster? Everyone had hated Lei Gongdai before, but now their faces were full of sympathy. Oh no, the parasite's HP has recovered. Disgusted as they were, they didn't dare to be distracted when they saw how alluring this thing was. At that moment, they saw the health bar above the parasite's head slowly recovering. F*CKME, attack it. Mingdu roared and sent a thunderbolt at the parasite. 3214, a damage value appeared. However, the HP bar above the parasite's head moved slightly. Lei Gongdai's HP dropped by half. Chapter 475. Don't attack, I'm caught. Lei Gongyi was scared out of his wits by Mingdu's attack. He hurriedly sent a message in the channel. When a player was caught by an enemy, attacks from the same team would deal damage. This was a setting that everyone knew. Can you take him down? Wuji asked. No. Lei Gongyi's voice was filled with despair. He would lose a lot of fans if a monster messed with him like this. Will you be traumatized when you eat banana sausages in the future? Tell me, what do you think now? Mingdu asked in a gloating tone. F*CKU. Lei Gongyi raged. As the two chatted, the parasite's HP recovered to full, and it let go of Lei Gongyi. After Lei Gongyi was let go, his body turned blurry, and a person that looked exactly like him split out of his body. The parasite's body shook, and it crawled into the fake Lei Gongyi's stomach. Lei Gongyi 1, was still in a daze when the fake Lei Gongyi 2, swung his greatsword and slashed the Lei Gongyi to the ground. Then, he lowered his head and charged at the team. Lao Air raised his shield when he saw Lei Gongyi 2 charging at him. Unfortunately, Lei Gongyi's equipment was much better than Lao Air's. When two shield bearers of the same level clashed, the better the equipment, the higher the priority. Lao Air was directly knocked back. Everyone hurriedly cast a detection spell on him. Lei Gongyi, LV-35, Alien, HP, 7326 MP, 874 skills, Smash, Charge, Shield Bash equipment skills. Everyone was shocked when they saw Lei Gongyi's stats. Damn, it's a 100% copy. The game was so big, and there were monsters that could copy a player's stats. However, this was the first time they had seen a complete copy like the parasite. No wonder this monster had so little HP. It did not rely on its own abilities to fight. After all, Lei Gongyi did not think like a player. If it was a real Lei Gongyi, they might take it seriously. However, it was just a fake, and they did not care. Kill him. Wuji waved his staff, and a holy flame silenced Lei Gongyi. Everyone surrounded him and started dealing damage. The Thunderlord's equipment was not just for show. It took them a full 4 seconds to finish off the Thunderlord. These 4 seconds were not to be underestimated. All the experts present were fully equipped with luxurious equipment, and it was common for them to kill someone instantly. It was easy to imagine how good the equipment of the person who was able to withstand their attacks for 4 seconds was. Moreover, this was just a clone with low IQ. If it was the Thunder Lord himself, he would probably be able to withstand it. Thunder God 2's HP bar had been emptied, but its HP remained at 1. Just as everyone was wondering what was going on, Thunder God 2 self-destructed with a bang. Bao San, to place one's pride, and the other close combat players surrounding him were blasted back a few meters. At this moment, the parasite flew out of Thunder God 2's body and pounced on Bao San, who was closest to it. In a panic, Bao San also swung his sword. The parasite followed suit, wrapping its tail around Bao San's blade and pouncing on his face. It then stuck its tail into Bao San's mouth. Damn, you can do this? Everyone was deeply impressed by this shameless monster. No wonder Vitality was also listed as one of its skills. Such a shameless way of fighting was really hard to defend against. Soon, the parasite's health was full again, and Bao San was also duplicated. After the real Bao San was duplicated, he was slashed to the ground by the fake and lost consciousness like Lei Gongyi. The fake Bao San's figure flashed, and he used triple slash to join the team. He grabbed his greatsword with both hands and activated Whirlwind Slash. Damn! Triple slash followed by Whirlwind Slash, and this guy even knew a small combo. Bao San wasn't as tanky as Lei Gongyi, but his skill set was quite luxurious, and his attack power was frighteningly high. At this moment, no one dared to take the Whirlwind Slash head-on. Everyone cried out in alarm and scattered. Wuji shouted from afar, "Long-range attacks! Melee classes, get back!" Hearing this, Mingdu and Yang Na took aim at the fake Bao San and destroyed him. The parasite crawled out again, and after circling around, it pounced towards Wang Yu's direction. F*CK. Hurry up and stop him! Seeing this scene, everyone was scared out of their wits. No one would be afraid of anyone in the team being possessed, except for Wang Yu. This guy really had the ability to single-handedly annihilate an entire team. A group of experts being annihilated by a level 35 monster was not just a loss of experience and equipment durability. The parasite's speed was very fast, and Yang Na couldn't shoot it from afar. If she were to get close, she was afraid of being attacked by this disgusting fellow. Therefore, only Mingdu, Chun Xiang, Ao Shui, and Ling Shuang used AoE spells. However, when the parasite's health fell to 1 point, it was as if it was an invincible cheat. Not only could it not be killed, even control skills were ineffective against it. In the blink of an eye, the parasite moved in front of Wang Yu and directly pounced towards Wang Yu's face. Wang Yu knew this thing's attack method and was already prepared for it. Seeing the parasite pouncing towards him, Wang Yu's eyes tightened. His right hand suddenly stretched out and grabbed the parasite's tail. With a forceful fling, the parasite was thrown away. After the parasite was thrown away by Wang Yu, it no longer attacked everyone. Instead, it turned around and pounced towards Platelet. Platelet was stupid and didn't know how to dodge. After being bitten by the parasite, it didn't dare to move. At the same time, the parasite's health began to recover again. F***CK. This thing can't be killed. How do we deal with it? Seeing the parasite's health recovering, everyone was depressed. This thing's attack power wasn't strong, and its defense wasn't strong. If they found the right method, it wouldn't be difficult to deal with. However, it just couldn't be killed. This thing was purely born to disgust people. Hurry up and stop it. Don't let it eat Platelet again. Wuji anxiously shouted and threw out a holy light orb. 1, 2, 4, 5, 5. The holy light orb landed on the parasite's body, and Platelet's health dropped sharply. Wuji was shocked again. Yang Na, Mingdu, and the others looked at each other, and one by one, they put away the spells and arrows in their hands. Platelet was also a guardian monster. If it was attacked by its own people, it would also lose health. If Platelet was killed, it would very likely affect clearing the game. If they wanted to separate it, only melee classes could do it. However, this guy was too evil, and no melee class wanted to be killed by him. For a moment, everyone was in the most awkward situation. Just when everyone was at a loss of what to do, Wang Yu rushed forward, grabbed the parasite's tail, and pulled it off of the Platelet. After the parasite landed on the ground, it opened its mouth and roared at Wang Yu, then turned around and pounced on the remaining red blood cell. Seeing this, the red blood cell hurriedly ran behind the white blood cell. Wang Yu saw this and immediately chased after it. Just as Wang Yu was about to grab the parasite again, the white blood cell suddenly pounced on Wang Yu. Chapter 476. After being bitten by the white blood ball, Wang Yu's head was filled with question marks. Wasn't this thing a guarded monster? Why was it attacking its own people? While he was distracted, the white blood sphere pounced at him again. The parasite was less than 2 meters away from Wang Yu. Wang Yu shifted his feet and dodged the white blood sphere's attack. He raised his hand to grab the parasite. When the parasite saw the white blood sphere behind Wang Yu, it immediately turned around and pounced at the Platelet. I know what's going on. Seeing this, Wuji suddenly shouted excitedly, "Old cow, after the parasite infests the Platelet, throw the Platelet next to the white blood sphere." In fact, the monsters that were guarded were only the red blood sphere and Platelet. The white blood sphere played the role of a guardian. In the eyes of the white blood sphere, not only were the parasites, even the players were invaders that could be attacked. That was why the parasites circled the white blood sphere instead of pouncing at it. Wang Yu didn't know what Wuji was thinking, but he still followed Wuji's instructions. After the parasite dodged the white blood sphere, it once again infested the Platelet. Wang Yu walked forward and used his knee to pull the Platelet. The Platelet was thrown to the side of the white blood sphere. As expected, the white blood sphere saw the parasite on the Platelet and pounced on it to swallow it. System notification: parasite killed, quest completion plus 2%. At the same time the quest was completed, the red blood sphere moved to Wang Yu's side and intimately rubbed against Wang Yu. A red light flashed, and Wang Yu's HP was full. Bao San and Lei Gongdang, who were on the ground, also regained their senses because of the parasite's death. So, but that's simple. Seeing the parasite being swallowed by the white blood sphere, everyone realized what was going on. The parasite wouldn't die in the hands of the players. Only to carry his white blood cells could completely kill it. That way, the monsters behind would be easier to kill. After the parasite's HP was empty, it would look for a host nearby. Therefore, as long as they lured the parasite to the platelet and emptied its HP, the parasite would go to the platelet. The white blood sphere's attack could only deal 1/3 of the parasite's HP. Therefore, everyone just had to push the platelet to the white blood sphere before the parasite recovered 1/3 of its HP. When they thought about how such an easy monster had nearly wiped them out, the experts' faces turned red. This was especially true for Bao San and Lei Gongdi. They buried their heads deep into the ground. They were supposed to be experts, but they were actually killed by a monster. Just thinking about it made them feel ashamed. With the strategy in hand, the subsequent battles became much simpler. Everyone followed Dicaria's intestinal maze and headed deeper. In less than 30 minutes, they had eliminated 30 parasites in Dicaria's body. The blood Jiuqiu. Each parasite blood cells. Completion. 60-60. 60-60. 60-40-60. 60. Demon. Could it be that the system missed 20? Duga 9 Spears asked in a puzzled tone. Lei Gongdang said with great experience, definitely not. Maybe they're hiding somewhere we can't find. That's impossible. Maybe these 20 are hiding somewhere we can't find, Lei Gongdang said. What kind of joke is this? We've searched this labyrinth many times. Do you think there's a second floor? Mingdu asked. Dungeon monsters would not respawn. If the monsters in this labyrinth were wiped out, they could only search for the second labyrinth. Lei Gongdang said disdainfully, Tisish, we are currently inside Dicaria's body. What second floor? Does he have 2 stomachs? Mingdu curled his lips. That's hard to say. What if he has 2 stomachs? Even Mingdu did not believe Lei Gongdang's words. The others also curled their lips. Wuji thought for a moment and said, the last 40% should be a boss, right? It was just like solving math problems. Multiple choice and fill in the blanks were just the appetizer. The real sub-questions were the big questions. Boss. Hearing this, everyone's expressions turned slightly unnatural. It was not that they were afraid of fighting a boss, but in such a large labyrinth, finding 20 monsters was much easier than finding a single boss. How about this? Let's split up and search. Wuji asked. Sure. Everyone agreed with Wuji's suggestion. Although they were in a labyrinth, the labyrinth was only so big if they split up. It was not a bad idea to split up and search. Let's do it this way. We'll split up into groups of 2 and search. No one has any objections, right? Wuji asked. I do. Wang Yu raised his hand. 15 people in a group of 2. One must be alone. I suggest 3 people in a group. No. Splitting into 5 groups is too slow. 2 people in a group is better. Aren't you an expert? Would you be afraid of searching alone? Wuji asked. Nonsense. Wang Yu said proudly. The word afraid is not in my dictionary. Really? Wuji narrowed his eyes at Wang Yu. Everyone could hear the guilt in Wang Yu's voice. To place one's pride said loudly, Uncle Nyo, I'll be in a group with you. To place one's pride was smart. Regardless of whether Wang Yu was afraid or not, Wang Yu's strength was clear for all to see. In any case, following Wang Yu would not be disadvantageous. Both of them were grandmasters of combat. This was a good opportunity to exchange experiences. Little chick, you're so sensible. I didn't dote on you for nothing. Wang Yu was so excited that tears streamed down his face. You 2 will be in a group. Who's going alone? Everyone could not help but ask. This place was full of danger. Only Wang Yu had the ability to form a group. I'll be in a group. At this time, Lei Gongfeng stood up. As a super expert, Lei Gongfeng did not want to be treated as a useless person. Hearing this, Wuji nodded and said, All right, old cow and chick will be in a group. I'll be in a group with Miss Qingxue. You guys find your own groups. F*CK. Shameless. Why are you in a group with Miss Qingxue? Mingdu was the first to jump out, an object. Although Chun Xiang did not say anything, his eyes were also filled with displeasure. We should ask for Miss Qingxue's opinion, Chun Xiang said. To place one's pride was full of regret. I was too anxious. Yang Na glanced at Wuji, then looked at the 2 bastards, Mingdu and Chun Xiang. She walked straight to Bao San and said, I'll be in a group with Bao San. Seeing Yang Na's choice, Mingdu and Chunxiang were both disappointed. Wuji glared and said, "Don't you want to reconsider?" "Reconsider my ass. F***CK off." Mingdu rudely pushed Wuji to the side. "Then who's in a group with me?" Wuji asked. Ming Jian Daoxue subconsciously walked to Bai Ming Yoyu's side. Overwhelming sadness and merciless hands also gathered together. In Lao Air said, "I'll be with Brother Chun." "You're insightful." Seeing that everyone had a group, Proud Snow and Frost silently walked to Ming Du's side. At this time, only Wuji and Dugu Jiuqiang were left without a group. Chapter 477. F***CK. What's the meaning of this? Wuji and Dugu Jiuqiang shouted after looking at each other for a long time. The enmity between Dugu Nine Spears and Wuji dated back to ancient times. It was said that the two of them knew each other much earlier than anyone else in the Chuanjin sect, except for Bao San. In every game, the two of them were enemies with each other. After so many ups and downs, this was the first time they played together. Now that they were in a separate team, the two of them felt extremely happy. Seeing the two go crazy, everyone pretended to look around. Dugu Jiuqiang said angrily, "I'll never team up with this **TCH. Wuji was not to be outdone. "You're letting this scum drag me down?" Wang Yu said gloatingly. "Why don't you team up on your own?" Wuji and Dugu Jiuqiang were speechless. No matter how sinister Wuji was, he was only a cleric. He could not trick those stupid mobs into committing suicide. Dugu Jiuqiang was good at dealing damage, but he was not strong enough. He did not have the strength to fight alone. It was even more ridiculous for him to team up on his own. "Old Thunder, I'll team up with you." Dugu Jiuqiang did not care about Wuji's life and quickly hugged Thunder God. Thunder God looked at Wuji's expression as if he had eaten a fly. Naturally, he would not agree, so he said calmly, "If you follow me, I'll have to protect you. F***CK." The despised Dugu Jiuqiang broke down. Forced into a corner, Dugu Jiuqiang could only say, "I'll team up with you this once. Don't play any tricks." Wuji said with a cold face, "Don't worry, I won't let you off easy." Dugu Jiuqiang pointed at Wuji and said to his men, "If I die, you don't have to ask why or how I died. Just kill him and avenge me." Got it. Merciless hands and dejected tyrant, and the others nodded. After the teams were assigned, the 8 teams split up to search the area. Dakaria's intestines were like a huge maze of caves. There were many forks and intersections in the maze. The most troublesome thing was that every fork and intersection was exactly the same in color and shape. Wang Yu, and to place one's pride, searched aimlessly along the road. They passed through countless intersections, but they didn't encounter a single parasite. "Looks like the parasites have all been killed." To place one's pride, he said impatiently, "This place is really big. We've passed through the same intersection dozens of times." "I don't know," replied Wang Yu with an indifferent expression. Wang Yu had lost his sense of direction the moment he entered this rundown place. To place one's pride, how could he care about the scenery on the side of the road? "Do you think we'll get lost?" To place one's pride asked again. Wang Yu was shocked. He glared at him and said, "Don't talk nonsense. Be careful, or I'll beat you up." At that moment, Lei Gongdang sent a message in the team channel. "I found the entrance to the second floor." "What? There's really a second floor?" Everyone was dumbfounded when they heard that. The primordial behemoth was indeed different. It had an extra intestine. "I told you there's a second floor, but you didn't believe me," Mingdu said proudly. He then asked, "Where is it?" "It's where we split up. Turn left and go straight," Lei Gongdang said. Wuji said, "All right, wait there. We'll go to the next floor together when we arrive." "Hurry up," Lei Gongdang replied casually. At present, no one knew what monsters were on the second floor, let alone what dangers there were inside. Therefore, it was the wisest choice to go in together. Of course, Wuji was definitely not worried about Lei Gongdang's safety. He was afraid that they would not be in the same map, and the mission completion rate could not be shared. Wuji had this worry. The others were also uncertain about Lei Gongdang's character. After all, he had been tricked twice in a row. It was not that he could not go down alone to take revenge on society. The animals of Chuanjin were used to being sinister. They saw everyone as a sinister person. Fortunately, Lei Gongdang was indeed worthy of being called a first-rate god. Although his conduct was not very good, his moral integrity and character were still quite good compared to the group of bastards from the Quanjin sect. Although he was a little impatient, he still waited until everyone found the place. 13? Who's not here yet? Lei Gongdang asked after counting the number of people after seeing that no one else came. Bao San glanced at the team and said with a frown, Old Cow and Chick are not here yet, right? We're almost there, don't worry. Hearing Lei Gongdang asking him again, Wang Yu hurriedly replied in the channel while urging to place one's pride beside him, Hurry up, everyone else is here. Only the two of us are left. To place one's pride suddenly stopped and said with a pale face, Uncle Nyo, do you know the way? Wang Yu was startled and immediately said in shock, Don't you know the way? To place one's pride lowered his head in silence, tacitly admitting this fact. Wang Yu was shocked and angry. You naughty boy, why are you in my team if you don't know the way? I thought you knew the way. To place one's pride said with grievance. Wang Yu had no sense of direction, such a shameful thing that he had never specifically told anyone. To place one's pride didn't care at first, but along the way, from various behaviors of Wang Yu, he finally realized this point. F***, we're finished this time. Wang Yu's face was full of despair. Now these two guys didn't know where they were, let alone successfully regrouping with the team. It was a problem whether they could find a way they came. What was more frightening was that once they chose to help Dakaria, even if they died, they would be resurrected on the spot. If they couldn't complete the mission, perhaps they would be trapped here for the rest of their lives. Why aren't you two here yet? Wuji urged again. Don't worry, we'll be there soon. The two continued to run around like headless flies, trying to find the way they came. But after searching for a while, they found that they had forgotten where they were when they separated. Wuji said, You said that 10 minutes ago, what the hell happened? We seem to be lost. To place one's pride replied weakly. Everyone was speechless. Wuji said angrily, You two pieces of trash. We'll wait for you for another 5 minutes. If you can't get there by then, we'll head down first. All right, Wang Yu said, that's all we can do. Not being able to complete the mission was better than being trapped here for the rest of their lives. After going back and forth for so long, to be honest, the two were a little tempted to give up. After another 5 minutes, the two who had no clue completely gave up searching. Wang Yu simply sat on the ground and sent a message in the channel, Forget it, don't wait for us, you guys can start. Spring replied, Then we'll head down first. Don't be discouraged, continue looking around. What if you find it? Chapter 478. Leaving behind Wang Yu and to place one's pride, Wuji led the party to the second floor. System notification. Your party has discovered the insect queen nest. The insect queen nest was called the second floor, but it wasn't actually the second intestine. This was because the exit of this map was facing Dakaria's stomach. Unlike the first floor's complicated maze, the insect queen nest was a large independent space. It was as if it had been specially opened up on the first floor. In the innermost part of the insect queen's nest, there was a supersized parasite tightly attached to the wall. Apart from looking ugly, this parasite also had limbs, and its tail was as round as a spider's stomach. It was facing the entrance to the second floor. Seeing this monster, everyone couldn't help but feel a wave of disgust. Evil Parasitic Queen, LV45, Dark Gold, HP, 20,000 MP, 20,000 Skills, Super HP, Spawn, Evil Parasite Multi-Control. Monster Introduction. A terrifying parasite that has tortured Dakaria for countless years. Is it just an ordinary boss? Seeing the Parasitic Queen's introduction, everyone was a little surprised. Even the Eagle King was an intelligent boss, but this terrifying Parasitic Queen was just an ordinary boss. This clearly didn't make sense. Wuji said, That's normal. Parasites do things based on their instincts. They don't have any thoughts. Naturally, it can't be an elite boss. I see. But why do I feel like this guy is even more terrifying than an elite monster? Dugu Jiuqiang said with a frown. It wasn't just Dugu Jiuqiang, but the others also showed the same expression. After experiencing the parasitic parasites, everyone had a new understanding of this disgusting monster. If the parasitic queen was a monster with intelligence, perhaps it would not be too scary. However, this kind of monster that had terrifying abilities but no thoughts was like a zombie in a doomsday movie. It was even more frightening. Wuji said, "Not only is this guy scary, but it's also not easy to kill." Is that so? Why don't we just beat it to a critical point and lure it to the white blood cells like before? Dugu Jiuqiang said. Although the parasite's abilities were terrifying, it wasn't hard to eliminate it if you found the right method. This was something that everyone had experienced before. Wuji said coldly, "Which of your dog eyes saw white blood cells here?" "You're the one." Hearing Wuji's words, Dugu Jiuqiang was about to lose his temper, but after looking around, he discovered that there were no other monsters in the nest except for the parasitic queen. Seeing this scene, everyone broke out in a cold sweat. The white blood orbs were the most important monsters in dealing with the parasites. Without the white blood orbs, even a parasite monster could cause a huge ruckus. Now, everyone was facing a parasite boss. However, in terms of skills, the most terrifying aspect of the parasite was its unkillable vitality. However, the insect queen was even more ridiculous. It actually possessed an extremely high vitality. Just this alone was enough to make everyone's hair stand on end. Not to mention, there was also the so-called multi-control ability. What do you think? Do you want to start the fight? Mingdo turned and asked Wuji. At this time, the parasitic queen was lying motionlessly on the wall. It was probably a trigger boss. Wuji thought for a moment and said, "Let's take a look first. Let's familiarize ourselves with it first, then we'll think of a countermeasure." It was impossible to clear an instance dungeon without sacrifices. The important thing was to understand the boss's skills before sacrificing them. From there, they could develop a strategy step by step. Moreover, after receiving the quest to help Dakaria, they couldn't cancel it. Even if they didn't start the fight, they couldn't leave. Now, they could only do a little bit of strategy. After all, the system wouldn't set a boss that couldn't be dealt with. Okay, Mingdu nodded. Just as he was about to start the fight, Wuji suddenly stopped him. "Wait, before we start the fight, everyone clear the sub-equipment slot first," Wuji commanded. "Why do we clear the sub-equipment slot?" Dugu Jiuqiang said unhappily. The sub-equipment slot was a backup equipment. It could be switched at will during battle. For range classes that were easily separated, the sub-equipment slot could only be used as a backup equipment. However, for melee classes, the sub-equipment was a part of their survival. For example, Yin Lao Air and Lei Gong Dun. The more skilled a player was, the more they would be used to switching weapons and equipment during battle. Therefore, when Wuji said that, Dugu Jiuqiang thought that Wuji was trying to trick them. Wuji rolled his eyes at Dugu Jiuqiang and said, "Of course it's useful. If anyone gets infected later, hurry up and switch equipment." The parasite took 5 seconds to completely infect a player. During these 5 seconds, the infected player couldn't attack, but they could switch equipment. The equipment on the doppelganger was the equipment of the infected player after 5 seconds. If they took off all their equipment during this time, the doppelganger's attributes would definitely drop significantly. When that happened, it would be relatively easier for everyone to deal with it. After hearing Wuji's explanation, everyone immediately understood Wuji's thoughts. Lei Gongdun looked at Wuji meaningfully. To be able to notice this point and think of a countermeasure under such circumstances, this guy's reaction speed was really fast. "Let's start." After sorting out the equipment, Mingdu threw a bolt of lightning at the parasitic queen. The parasite queen's body swayed from the impact, losing nearly a fifth of its health. No one was too surprised by Mingdu's high damage output. After all, they all knew that he wouldn't die so easily. After being attacked, the parasite queen's 4 limbs that were attached to the wall loosened and fell to the ground. Then, it opened its large mouth full of suction cups towards Mingdu. Everyone could vaguely see that the parasite queen's mouth not only had countless suction cups, but also a circle of sharp teeth. When they thought about how the parasite queen hugged its face when it was infecting, everyone felt a chill down their spine. Damn, if this thing hugged my face, wouldn't it be eaten away? Quick, block it. Seeing the situation, Mingdu hurriedly took a step back. Yinlao Air raised a shield and stood in front of the team. At this time, the parasite queen had already pounced forward and forcefully collided with Yinlao Air's shield. Yinlao Air took advantage of the situation and smashed a shield bash. A stun symbol appeared above the parasite queen's head. This thing can be controlled. Seeing that the parasite queen was stunned, everyone couldn't help but be happy. This was the only thing that made them feel optimistic about this boss. Yinlao Air's shield bash had a 3-second stun. 3 seconds was enough for everyone in the team to launch a wave of attacks. The parasite queen's health was currently only a little more than 15,000. With just one wave of attacks, the parasite queen's health was reduced to 1 point. Once its HP bar was emptied, the parasitic queen activated its super vitality state, and the stun was automatically dispelled. Then it screeched and retreated. As the parasitic queen retreated, its tail produced round eggs one after another. Chapter 479. There was an old saying in the online gaming world: attack whatever the boss summoned, hide for whatever fell from the sky. Seeing that the parasitic queen was laying eggs, there was no need for Wuji to remind them, so they changed their target and focused their firepower on the eggs. The parasitic queen's health was not high, so the eggs were naturally very fragile. Without the buff of the buggy skill, these eggs were not much stronger than chicken eggs. After a round of firepower, the parasite eggs were all destroyed. Where's the parasitic queen? However, at this moment, everyone suddenly realized that the boss had disappeared. They subconsciously looked around, but it was as if the boss had disappeared without a trace. Could it be at the back? Seeing this, everyone was shocked and hurriedly looked behind them. When everyone turned their heads, they were shocked to see a huge black shadow appear at the back of the team. Be careful. The boss is at the back of the team. Yinlao Air pointed at the parasitic queen at the back and shouted. There were a total of 5 people at the back of the team: Wuji, Mingdu, Chunxiang, Yangna, and Proud Snow. As the archer, Yangna was stuck at the back. At this time, the boss was the first to pounce on her. Seeing the parasitic queen pounce on her, Yangna calmly raised the demon hunter crossbow in her hand and fired a concussive shot. The thick arrow directly hit the parasitic queen's face. Concussive shot had a knockback effect, and the parasitic queen's super high health was uncontrollable. Yangna's concussive shot only caused it to pause for a moment. However, Yangna reacted quickly and took the opportunity to dodge out of the parasitic queen's attack range. The parasitic queen hissed and turned to pounce on Wuji, Mingdu, and the others. The people of Qiwanjin had always been good at escaping. Seeing the parasitic queen attack them, the invincible ones went up, teleported, and Chunxiang was even worse. He directly changed his voice into a cloud of smoke and floated into the air. When the parasitic queen pounced on him, only the pitiful Proud Snow was left. He could only watch as the big worm jumped over and opened its mouth to suck his face. Save me! Ao Shueling Shuang cried out. The kid was scared out of his wits. After all, it was one thing to watch others being parasitized, but it was another thing to be parasitized himself. At this time, who the hell would go and save him? Dugu Jiuqiang shouted at the top of his lungs, Shuang Shuang, quickly cut the equipment. Shuang Shuang. Hearing this form of address, everyone felt disgusted. It was more disgusting than being hugged by a boss. Tenacious Frost hurriedly changed his equipment. At this time, the boss had also completed its parasite. The parasitic queen's parasitic time was only 3 seconds. After the parasitic process was complete, the queen did not burrow back into the host's body. Instead, it rushed towards the others. Seeing this, everyone hurriedly retreated. At this moment, the infected tenacious Snow Frost was only wearing her undergarments. She raised her hand and chanted a spell towards everyone. Seeing this, Mingdu raised his hand and shot out a lightning bolt, causing it to explode. F***, what's that? At that moment, everyone saw countless little bugs jumping out of tenacious frost parasites. They hurriedly cast a detect spell on them. Parasitic larva, level 30, HP, 500 MP, 0 skill, parasite F***CK. Seeing the little bug's information, everyone turned pale with fright. Originally, they thought that without the mother parasite, the parasites would disappear after being destroyed. Who knew that after tenacious frost parasite was destroyed, so many parasites would drop? Could it be that the more they fought, the more parasites there would be? The parasite larvae landed on the ground and quickly moved towards the crowd. These larvae could be killed, but there were too many of them. They were fast and had a small target. The melee classes could not avoid them in time. Wuji and the others' evasion skills were still on cooldown. In the blink of an eye, everyone was hit. This time, everyone experienced the state of being parasitized. System notification: you have been infected by parasite larvae. You will lose consciousness for 900 seconds. Seeing this notification, everyone secretly cursed. They could not speak or move for 15 minutes. This thing was really annoying. On the other hand, Lei Gongding and Bao Sen secretly rejoiced. These two had been infected by the adult parasite larvae before. They would lose consciousness for 1,200 seconds. In this way, if they were infected by the parasitic queen, they would be controlled for at least 1,800 seconds. In comparison, everyone was considered lucky. Without completing the quest to help Dekaria, players could not be teleported out of the scenario. So if the boss killed everyone, they would definitely revive on the spot. However, after the parasitic queen controlled everyone, it did not choose to kill them. Instead, it continued to climb up the wall and continued to suck Dekaria's flesh. The queen's HP also began to recover rapidly. When the controlled players saw the parasitic queen's lack of professionalism, they wanted to cry, but had no tears. To be honest, these guys had never had such a desperate desire to die. Huh, why is the channel so quiet? The lost Wang Yu and To Place One's Pride were watching everyone yell in the party channel as they fought the boss. Seeing that the messages had suddenly stopped, they were immediately puzzled. They can't have been team-wiped, right? To Place One's Pride said, after thinking for a moment. From the chat records in the party channel, it seemed like something unexpected had happened. Wang Yu frowned and said, that can't be right. Even if they were team-wiped, they wouldn't be so quiet. Mingdu was famous for being a talkative person. The others were also very sharp-tongued. If they had really been team-wiped, they would definitely have made fun of Wuji, who was commanding the battle. However, they did not do so at this moment. It was thought-provoking. Could it be that they've all been parasitized? Wang Yu said after thinking for a moment. At the same time, the scene of Bao San and Lei Gongdun lying dead on the ground appeared in his mind. To Place One's Pride heard this and immediately broke out in a cold sweat. Uncle Nyo, don't scare me. If they've all been parasitized, won't we be unable to get out? Wang Yu and To Place One's Pride did not know that there was a time limit to the parasitism. However, from the precedent of Bao San and Lei Gongdun, they could see that only after the parasitism was killed could the parasitized be released. Right now, Wang Yu and Lei Gongdun were trapped on the first floor of the maze. The others were also parasitized. No one could kill the parasitized. As a result, they had fallen into an endless loop. Thinking up to this point, Wang Yu's expression changed. After thinking for a moment, Wang Yu stood up and said To Place One's Pride, it seems like we can only rely on ourselves for this quest. To Place One's Pride curled his lips and said, I understand that, but our biggest problem right now is how to find the second floor. To Place One's Pride didn't doubt Wang Yu's strength. To Place One's Pride had never seen a boss that Wang Yu couldn't handle. However, getting lost wasn't something that could be solved with strength. Wang Yu sighed and said, let's take it one step at a time. If we take our time, we'll have a chance. If we give up, we definitely won't have a chance. Chapter 480. For a person without a sense of direction, he could still determine his position by looking at the scenery on both sides when he was lost. However, in a scene without any reference, even a person with a sense of direction might not be able to walk out. Such a scene included forest, desert, snow, and to carry his intestines. In reality, in a terrain without any reference, it was possible to create a reference. However, in the game, the moment you walked, the game would refresh the scene that did not belong to the scene. When they walked past the fork for the third time, Wang Yu suddenly asked to place one's pride. Chick, you said that all the forks are the same? Yup, exactly the same. To place one's pride nodded. They were all refreshed by the system. There was no doubt about that. Then, will the monsters be the same? Asked Wang Yu to place one's pride as he pointed at the red, yellow, and white monsters not far away. There were no parasites around the monsters. It was obvious that the team had cleared the battlefield. Wang Yu didn't know how far they had walked. Every time they passed by a fork, they would find 3 monsters. Previously, Wang Yu had been following behind to place one's pride and didn't notice it. Now that Wang Yu was leading the way, he saw these monsters several times and immediately became alert. It was fine if there were monsters at 2 forks, but they had cleared 30 parasites. It was possible that some of them were cleared at the forks. However, there were monsters at every fork. That was a little strange. To place one's pride, was stunned for a moment, and cold sweat appeared on his forehead. It shouldn't be. Oh. Wang Yu walked over and kicked the cowardly platelet. Then he said to place one's pride, let's go. After walking for a short while, they passed by another fork in the road. There were also 3 monsters at the side of the fork. Wang Yu glanced at the platelet and immediately became furious. No wonder they hadn't reached the end after walking through so many forks. It turned out that to place one's pride, Wang Yu were only circling around the spot where they had split up. They hadn't gone too far. Wang Yu poked to place one's pride's head and scolded. You little brat. He actually led me around in circles for half a day. To place one's pride hugged his head and cried, Uncle Nyo, I didn't do it on purpose. Let's hurry and find them. Where did they post the location? Wang Yu asked angrily. Turn left and go straight. To place one's pride answered carefully. Are you sure? The chat records are proof. I'll trust you this time. Lead the way. Wang Yu glared at Gao again. He was angry at Gao's incompetence. There was no need to turn if they walked straight. Even a blind man would have no trouble finding the second floor in this map. Soon, Wang Yu and to place one's pride arrived at the entrance to the second floor. To place one's pride let out a long sigh of relief when he saw the entrance to the second floor. If he could still lead them the wrong way by walking straight, Wang Yu would probably beat him up. Let's go down. Wang Yu pulled to place one's pride and directly entered. As soon as they entered, Wang Yu felt a murderous aura behind him before he could even look at the second floor. He quickly dodged to the side and discovered that Ming Jian, Xue Daoxue, and Yu had revealed themselves. It's a parasite. Wang Yu turned around and jumped back, putting some distance between himself and the 4. Since everyone had switched their equipment in time when they were infected, the 4 parasites didn't have any weapons in their hands. Other than grandmasters of combat who used their fists to fight, physical attack professions could not use their profession skills if they did not have a weapon in hand. That was why these 4 assassins actually came up to Wang Yu with their bare fists. Fighting with Wang Yu wasn't any easier than fighting a boss alone. Wang Yu smiled and flew up, landing on top of the heads of the 4 of them. With a thunderous stomp, the 4 of them exploded. Then, 4 parasites flew out and pounced on Wang Yu. Bang! Wang Yu's afterimage shattered, and the 4 parasites were killed. The others had already begun their attacks. Mingdu's thunder and lightning technique was the fastest to be launched from top to bottom. However, the fake body naturally did not have Mingdu's precise judgment. Wang Yu took a step forward and dodged the lightning. Her burst fist cut into the chest to the Thunder God Guard. Sidekick knock-up tiger strike, grab cloud, grasp, grab knee strike, grab 3 warriors, and 1 paladin were dragged to Wang Yu's side by 3 consecutive grab skills, and they gathered into a group. 3 strikes of whirlwind kick directly kicked all 4 of them, and another 4 parasites flew out. Wang Yu casually swatted and used Cloud Palm, hitting the 4 parasites. Cloud Palm was a Grandmaster of Combat's small area of effect killing skill. Its damage was average, but it was enough to deal with a parasite with 500 HP. At this moment, tenacious frost cone of ice flew in front of Wang Yu. Wang Yu was just about to use flash to dodge, but Wuji's holy flame also flew over, silencing Wang Yu. Wang Yu was slightly shocked and hurriedly jumped to the side. However, it was as if his feet had grown roots, and he couldn't move. It was Death's Coil, Spring Source second crowd control skill. Helpless, Wang Yu threw out a chi wave, and the cone of ice that was flying in front of him turned into a cloud of blue mist. At the same time, a speed reduction effect appeared on Wang Yu's body. Since he was already immobilized, the speed reduction effect was useless. At this moment, Spring soared through a cloud of poison at Wang Yu, and with a wave of his staff, he summoned 6 demons. Yang Na also ran to a spot not far from Wang Yu. Seeing Spring source 6 demons, Wang Yu couldn't help but be shocked. Meow, this bastard Spring Soar, whether it was his real or fake body, was always the most disgusting. Chick, hurry up and kill the fake Spring Soar. Wang Yu commanded to place one's pride. Spring Soar had 2 crowd control skills, 3 poison skills, and 6 extremely annoying demons that could only attack and resist. He was an extremely difficult character to deal with. At this moment, Wang Yu was muted and immobilized and couldn't use any skills. Relatively speaking, Spring Soar posed a greater threat than everyone else. However, after Wang Yu shouted, to place one's pride didn't respond in the slightest. Wang Yu turned to look and saw to place one's pride staring at Yang Na in a daze. Yang Na wasn't wearing any equipment. Her skin-tight undergarments were extremely revealing. To place one's pride's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. F***CK, this kid. Wang Yu cursed inwardly and swung his fist to meet Yang Na, who was running in front of him. Even without equipment, warriors and knights still had thick skin and flesh. Archers, on the other hand, couldn't even last half a round against a melee master like Wang Yu without their bows and arrows. With a single punch from Wang Yu, their brains exploded. Uncle Neo, to place one's pride, saw the beautiful girl explode in the head with a single punch. He was so excited that he almost cursed out loud. Wang Yu didn't have the time to pay attention to him. He casually crushed the parasites that flew out of Yang Na's body and pulled out the Fire Dragon demonic gun with his left hand. He fired 4 shots in a row, killing 4 mage-type players nearby. To place one's pride arrived in front of Wang Yu just in time to help deal with the last 4 parasites. At the same time, a huge shadow fell from above Wang Yu. Wang Yu gritted his teeth, pulled out a bottle of wine from his bag, and gulped it down. Chapter 481. Jiuxian, Drunken Mountain Gate. Drunken state increases movement speed by 20%, increases attack and defense by 15%. Debridement and blood regeneration. Drink to remove the poison and virus effects on the target. After the battle, just now, the freeze and ice effects on Wang Yu's feet had been removed. However, the silence effect of Holy Flame still remained for 8 seconds, and the poison and speed reduction effect still remained for 5 seconds. Poison was the signature skill of the Warlock class, and its speed reduction effect was very powerful. As an expert, Soaring Spring had raised this skill to its highest level, which was a full 60% speed reduction. With the silence effect still in effect, Wang Yu couldn't use the movement skill. Fortunately, he remembered this skill at the crucial moment. With the poison effect removed, Wang Yu leaped forward and rolled, dodging the parasitic queen descending from the sky. The parasitic queen paused for a moment after falling to the ground, then turned around and pounced at Wang Yu, who was not far away. Wang Yu took a step back and steadied his stance. He lowered his center of gravity and reached out with his left hand to grab the parasitic queen's slender waist. At the same time, he raised his right hand above his head and formed a claw to grab the parasitic queen's neck. Both his arms pushed back, and the huge parasitic queen was directly thrown out. As the parasitic queen's momentum was very strong, Wang Yu took advantage of the momentum and threw it heavily onto the wall, causing it to be stunned. Scene stun effect. To place one's pride saw this scene and cried out in surprise. In the setting of Rebirth, when players fought, they could use the surrounding environment to create page effects. For example, when the target was pushed back into the wall, there would be a stun effect. When a vase was smashed, there would be a bleed effect, but the stun effect was very rare. This was because the requirements for the stun effect were very high. First, the strength, and secondly, the target's angle of impact. The stun effect could only be applied when the target's head was hit. Fighters weren't a strength-based class, so they didn't have enough strength to accurately grasp the angle of impact. Warriors and knights had the strength, but it was very difficult to control the angle of the target's head with a weapon in hand. Therefore, the scene stun effect would only appear when high-level players were fighting low-level monsters. The Parasitic Queen was a level 40 boss, yet had been knocked out by a grandmaster of combat like Wang Yu. Even for an expert like to place one's pride, this was unthinkable. Wang Yu said, "This is called borrowing force to fight force, understand? So that's how it is. Is it Tai Chi?" To place one's pride's eyes lit up with excitement. This is called the heaven flipping palm. Not all forms of borrowing force are called Tai Chi. Wang Yu smiled and jumped on top of the Parasitic Queen's head. By then, the silence effect would have been lifted. Wang Yu landed on the ground 4 times with Eagle Stomp followed by Thunder Stomp. 1 2 4 5 1 1 3 4 5 3 154 100 178. Wang Yu's leg attack power was increased. Under the drunken immortal state, his attack and defense were increased. When the target was stunned, it would deal 5 times the damage. Wang Yu's 4-part combo in the air dealt 5 damage, directly trampling the Parasitic Queen down to 1 HP. Crap. To place one's pride's jaw dropped when he saw Wang Yu's combo completely empty the boss's HP bar. The Grandmaster of Combat class had always attacked the weak. A normal 30-plus Grandmaster of Combat's combo would only deal around 5,000 to 6,000 damage. However, Wang Yu's one attack had dealt 10 times the damage. This damage was truly shocking. Uncle Nyo, it's not completely dead yet. To place one's pride was shocked. At the same time, he saw that the Parasitic Queen still had a drop of HP remaining. Seeing that the Parasitic Queen was not completely dead yet, Wang Yu frowned. Without hesitation, he wanted to add another kick. At this moment, the Parasitic Queen soared into the sky, its 6 claws clawing at Wang Yu. Wang Yu was startled by the Parasitic Queen's sudden counterattack. In a panic, he stretched out both his arms, grabbing the Parasitic Queen's head that was pouncing at him. Taking advantage of the situation, he lay back and kicked the Parasitic Queen's lower back. With a roll, he threw the Parasitic Queen away. The Parasitic Queen hissed, and a row of brown eggs jumped out of its plump tail. When the Parasitic Queen had 1 HP, it would automatically trigger a super life force that could ignore control. Moreover, it could also lay parasitic eggs. When Wuji and the others surrounded the Parasitic Queen, Wang Yu and to place one's pride were still lost, so the two did not know about this. At this moment, seeing the Parasitic Queen lay eggs, to place one's pride's expression changed. Wang was a newbie in the game. Although his skills were heaven-defying, he did not understand many of the traditional rules of the game. To place one's pride, on the other hand, was a wily old fox. Seeing the Parasitic Queen lay eggs, how could he not know that it was summoning its subordinates? Uncle Nyo quickly attacked the eggs. Saying so, to place one's pride jumped next to the eggs and started attacking them. The health bars of the eggs were not very long, but the Parasitic Queen's spawning speed was very fast. It could lay a row of eggs at a time. Wuji and the others only managed to clear them all with a dozen or so people. No matter how fierce Wang Yu's attacks were, with the class restrictions, the two of them had to punch and kick at the same time. Their killing speed could not keep up with the Parasitic Queen's spawning speed. Looking at the eggs all over the ground, the usually confident Wang Yu also began to feel nervous. These parasites' attributes were nothing special. However, they could parasitize humans. This kind of skill was disgusting to the point of being a hoodlum. At this moment, Wang Yu would rather solo a boss than provoke these things. At this moment, some of the eggs had already begun to jump. Wang Yu and Wuji knew that the monsters were about to hatch. Thinking about the parasites crawling all over the ground, Wang Yu could not help but feel his heart palpitate. Retreat. Seeing that a batch of parasites had already hatched, Wang Yu rushed to place one's pride and jumped back. Retreat? Where should we retreat to? To place one's pride said with a bitter expression. This place is full of eggs. Don't tell me we should retreat to the first floor? Once the eggs hatched, the queen's nest would be filled with monsters. If they retreated to the first floor at this time, they might not be able to come back down. Naturally, Wang Yu also understood this logic. Hence, he pointed at the direction of Decaria's stomach and said, retreat towards the exit. To place one's pride said, isn't that a dead end? A dead end is better than death. One had to know that the area where Wang Yu were was covered with eggs. If they did not leave this area in time, once they were surrounded by monsters, it would be difficult for them to escape. All right, to place one's pride was helpless. He could only bite the bullet and follow. Wang Yu, and to place one's pride, had only run a few steps when the eggs on the ground began to shake. The parasites crawled out of the eggs one after another and followed the footsteps of the two. Wang Yu's movement speed was much faster than to place one's pride. He quickly ran to the pylorus position where Decaria's intestines and stomach connected. To place one's pride ran forward while looking back. Seeing the countless parasites behind him, his little heart almost flew out of his chest. At this moment, Wang Yu, who was running in front, suddenly turned his head and shouted to place one's pride. Chick, be careful up there. Chapter 482. Oh my God. To place one's pride cried out in fear. He mustered all his strength to run forward. However, the parasite queen's movement speed was even faster than Wang Yu's. To place one's pride had just used a movement skill, so there was no way he could outrun it. In the blink of an eye, the parasite queen had pounced behind to place one's pride. At the same time, Wang Yu, who was not far away, clapped his hands. To place one's pride's cloud grasping fist wrapped around him and pulled him to his side. Hiss! Seeing that the fat meat in its mouth had been snatched away, the parasite queen roared angrily and gave chase. After Wang Yu pulled to place one's pride away, he did not dare to stop. The two of them passed through the pylorus and jumped into Decaria's stomach. You on the left, I'll be on the right. Seal the entrance. After jumping into the stomach, Wang Yu directed to place one's pride. The two of them stood on either side of the entrance. The pylorus was the connection between Decaria's intestines and stomach. The space was not too big, and it was S-shaped. The entrance was only 2 meters wide, much narrower than the parasite queen's nest. The parasite larvae had very little HP. Moreover, they did not have any vitality skills, so they could be killed. The two of them stood on either side of the entrance. For these two experts, although they might not be able to block the parasite queen, blocking the parasite larvae was very safe. However, after the two of them got into position and prepared to kill, they did not see any parasites enter even after a long time. Wang Yu was puzzled. He asked in confusion, what's going on? Could it be that these monsters are lost? That can't be. The aggro is still there. How could they be lost? To place one's pride replied. To place one's pride actually did not dare to be 100% sure. After all, the system often played tricks. Go on, take a look. Wang Yu pointed at the entrance. To place one's pride shouted, why me? There were so many monsters out there. If he went out, he would definitely die. To place one's pride was no fool. Wang Yu said, if you go, I can pull you back. But if I go, how will you save me? Air. To place one's pride was speechless. But I'm afraid. What's there to be afraid of? Your surname is G, and you were one family 500 years ago. They won't make things difficult for you. As Wang Yu spoke, he grabbed a place one's pride's collar and threw him out. After that, Wang Yu shouted, call me if anything happens. I'll drag you back. Uncle Nyo, come and take a look. To place one's pride's voice was heard. What's wrong? Hearing the voice, Wang Yu hurriedly ran out and saw a strange scene. The parasitic queen was lying on the wall of the portal to recover its health. On the ground, countless parasitic larvae were crawling around the portal as if they had hit an invisible wall. They wanted to enter, but they could not. What's going on? Seeing this scene, both of them were dumbfounded. Is it a problem with the terrain? In the game, corners, steps, and pillars were all choke points. Players often use the terrain to choke bosses. To place one's pride mumbled as he looked around. There were no steps, no corners, and no pillars. There's no choke point. That's strange. To place one's pride was puzzled. It was fine if these monsters did not come in. After all, these monsters were not attacked, so their aggro was not stable. However, the parasitic queen was in such a miserable state. Why did it not come in? Wang Yu thought for a moment. Looking at the squirming parasite army on the ground, he said, "Do you think they are afraid to come in?" The parasites on the ground were still moving, which proved that their aggro had not disappeared. Using the game's knowledge to explain this effect, it was because the monsters were choked. However, using biology to explain it, it was because there was something in the other scene that was threatening their lives. If this was a traditional online game, to place one's pride would definitely look down on Wang Yu's words. However, in a game with a high degree of freedom like Rebirth, it was hard to say. After all, in the wild, when two types of monsters spawned at the border, players would often see monsters fighting each other for territory. That's possible. To place one's pride nodded and said, "But there are no monsters in Decaria's stomach. How could endanger the lives of these parasites?" Well, logically speaking, there should be something scary in Decaria's stomach. The scary thing is, Wang Yu rubbed his chin and thought for a moment. Suddenly, he shouted in surprise, "I know. It's stomach acid." Stomach acid? To place one's pride was stunned when he heard this. Then, a happy expression appeared on his face. Wasn't that right? Decaria's stomach acid could even melt a long sword made of steel, let alone the flesh and blood of these parasites. The parasite queen did not dare to enter Decaria's stomach because it was afraid of being digested by the stomach acid. Thinking of this, to place one's pride shouted in surprise, "Uncle Nyo, quickly lure the parasite queen in." Wang Yu nodded and raised his hand to hit the parasite queen with a chi wave. Hiss! The parasite queen raised its head and looked at Wang Yu. It twisted its body and took 2 steps back, leaving Wang Yu's attack range. F***CK. To place one's pride saw this and scolded. This boss is actually so cowardly. It did not dare to fight back even after being attacked. Being a boss to the level of the parasite queen was really embarrassing. Wang Yu took a few steps forward and walked to the edge of the door. Using Cloud Palm, he struck the parasite queen's body once more. The parasite queen seemed to be a coward and took 2 more steps back. Seeing the parasite queen in such a cowardly state, Wang Yu's mood was in a mess. Let's clear the monsters first. Wang Yu ignored the parasite queen on the wall and stomped on the door with thunderous steps. The parasite larvae's aggro seemed to be related to the parasite queen. However, the parasite larvae did not have much intelligence. Wang Yu attacked the parasite queen twice. The parasite queen retreated a few steps, but the parasite larvae continued to swarm over and block the door. Wang Yu's stomp killed at least 1/10 of them. To place one's pride received the order and ran over. Together with Wang Yu, they started a massacre of the parasite larvae on the ground. There is nothing better in the world than being able to attack a target outside the safe zone while standing in the safe zone. Wang Yu and Shifeng were not stingy with their skills. In the blink of an eye, all the parasite larvae had been slaughtered. The parasite queen on the wall hissed. It could only watch helplessly as its children were slaughtered, not daring to take even half a step forward. Damn, how spineless! To place one's pride, cursed as he looked at the parasite queen in disdain. This boss's vitality was extremely high. They could not kill it unless it entered its stomach. However, the parasite queen knew this and refused to enter. The 2 were helpless. Wang Yu said, "I'll bring it in. It's not moving. How are you going to do it?" To place one's pride asked curiously. The parasite queen's aggro system was completely useless. It would not be able to lure it into the boss's body. Wang Yu glanced at the parasite queen and said indifferently, "If it doesn't want to come in, just drag it in." Saying so, Wang Yu walked out of the door. Chapter 483. The parasitic queen was lying on the wall near the nether door. This fellow was not an elite boss, so the aggro system followed the system settings. When Wang Yu was in the stomach, the parasitic queen did not dare approach. Now that it saw Wang Yu walk out of the nether door, it immediately pounced on him. Good. Seeing the parasitic queen pounce on him, Wang Yu did not panic at all. It was as if he already knew that this insect would do this. Wang Yu squatted down and extended his arms to the left and right, once again assuming the stance of sky flipping palm. When the parasitic queen was in front of him, he used the momentum to push it forward. The parasitic queen was thrown into the nether door. Uncle Nyo, you're amazing. What a great skill. To place one's pride could not help but praise when he saw this. Wang Yu smiled slightly and did not reply. This sky-flipping palm was executed to the extreme by Wang Yu. However, to place one's pride skill level was too low. Other than feeling that Wang Yu's skill was amazing, he could not see the most exquisite part of it. It was inevitable that Wang Yu could not help but sigh. The parasitic queen screamed after landing on the ground. Ignoring to place one's pride, it turned around and crawled out of the nether door. To place one's pride was shocked when he saw this. Uncle Nyo, not good. It's trying to escape. Got it. The parasitic queen was so afraid of Dicaria's stomach. Its aggro was also on Wang Yu. Now that it was thrown into the nether door, it was impossible for it not to run out. However, Wang Yu was outside the nether door, and the parasitic queen was inside the nether door. This kind of terrain could trap monsters, and monsters could also trap players. The parasitic queen's frontal assault skill was too disgusting. Even Wang Yu was not willing to charge at it directly. Hold it back. Wang Yu ordered to place one's pride. Wang Yu was a man who excelled in combat. He could always discover the enemy's weakness the fastest. After a few rounds with the parasitic queen, Wang Yu had already figured out that when the parasitic queen was not laying eggs, its back was the safest place. This was also a common characteristic of non-humanoid monsters. If it was a mammal, it might attack with its legs, but the parasitic queen was a symbiotic primitive invertebrate species with an imperfect structure. All 6 of its claws were under its face, and its long tail was a complete burden. How? To place one's pride. Although he knew that Wang Yu would not harm him, he still felt a little guilty. After all, he had just witnessed the parasite's ferocity. Not to mention, the person before him was a boss. If the boss turned around and hugged him, he would not be able to escape a beating. Use your grab skill, Wang Yu said. To place one's pride, braced himself and used Tiger Claw, grabbing the parasitic queen's tail. To place one's pride surprise, the grab skill was actually effective. The boss, which the other classes could not deal with their weapons, was easily dragged back by 2 meters. It seemed that the pugilist grab skill was the key to breaking through this boss. To place one's pride dragged half of the parasitic queen's body into its stomach. To place one's pride desperately tried to crawl out of its stomach. Abruptly, place one's pride extended both of his arms and used knee strike, dragging the parasitic queen into his embrace. This was the special effect of knee strike. As long as the target could be grabbed, no matter how big or large the target was, once knee strike was successfully used, the target's torso would be dragged into his embrace. To place one's pride's knee strike only had a short duration of 5 seconds. After the effect ended, the parasitic queen flipped over, brandishing its 6 claws as it attempted to grab to place one's pride's head. To place one's pride panicked. To place one's pride suddenly felt his hands empty. Wang Yu had caught the parasitic queen with Tiger Claw. The parasitic queen continued to turn around, trying to bite Wang Yu. Wang Yu activated knee strike, his arms dragging the parasitic queen's body. He then spun his feet, turning his body in a half circle. Then he canceled the skill. While the parasitic queen was still under the effect of the grab skill, it was ruthlessly thrown away by Wang Yu. Wang Yu threw the parasitic queen towards the inside of Dekali's stomach. Without waiting for the parasitic queen to hit the ground, Wang Yu ran a few steps and sent a flying kick towards the parasitic queen's back. 17546. A huge critical damage floated up. At the same time, the parasitic queen was kicked into the largest stomach acid pool not far from him. To place one's pride sucked in a breath of cold air when he saw this scene. To place one's pride was also a great expert. To place one's pride, Wang Yu's heaven-flipping palm was not a system skill. It was normal for him to be unable to see the essence of it. However, the three skills Wang Yu used this time were all system skills. To place one's pride couldn't call himself an expert if he couldn't see the technical content within. To place one's pride was standing 7 meters away from the stomach acid pool. Tiger Claw's grab range was a maximum of 2 meters, while Thunderstomp's knockback range was 3 meters. No matter how good Wang Yu's mechanics were, the effects of the system skills wouldn't change. From the skills description, the three skills added up to a distance of 7 meters. However, the game's mechanics weren't as simple as math. The numbers given by the system were, in fact, the limit of the skill's effects, which was the maximum grab range from start to finish. If a single grab skill was used, it was easy to reach the maximum range. However, when players use a combo skill, it was very difficult to control this limit. Trying to maximize the range of each skill during a combo was even more unimaginable. However, the instant the effects of these three skills reached their maximum, Wang Yu naturally chained them together, kicking the parasitic queen into the stomach acid pool without the slightest gap between them. Setting aside the difficulty of canceling an ambushing skill, just the precise control of the skill's maximum range, timing, and angle, as well as Wang Yu's confidence that his kick would land, was enough to leave to place one's pride in awe. Although they were both experts, to place one's pride thoroughly understood from Wang Yu's maneuvers that the gap between experts was also unimaginable. TSS. The stomach acid pool emitted a dissolving sound, accompanied by the parasitic queen's shrill screams. It sounded extremely ear-piercing. The parasitic queen struggled to crawl out, but Wang Yu walked over and kicked it in the face, shattering its delusions. TSS. The parasitic queen's body dissolved bit by bit, finally dissolving into the stomach acid pool. Not even its bones are left. I still wanted to loot the boss. Looking at the disappearing parasitic queen, Wang Yu's face was filled with regret. After all, this thing was so difficult to deal with. If he could loot it, it would definitely give him something good. At this moment, the sound of a system notification rang out. System notification. You have eliminated the parasitic queen. Quest completion plus 40%. System notification. The party you are in has completed the hidden stage My Stomach Hurts. Because no white blood cells, red blood cells, or platelets were harmed during the quest, the completion rate is 100%. Rating S. You have been awarded the title Zerg Killer. Zerg Killer increases damage to insect-type and parasite-type monsters by 20%. Racial hatred plus 20%. Chapter 484. At the same time, the other members of the party also got up. Seeing the quest completion notification, Lei Gongsheng was shocked. You too completed it. Lei Gongsheng was a very conceited person. As a first-rate expert in the gaming circle, he had absolute confidence in his own strength. After this dungeon run, Lei Gongsheng had some understanding of Wang Yu's skills. He knew that Wang Yu's control was very good. However, in Lei Gongsheng's mind, there were still a few experts with good control. No matter how good Wang Yu was, he was only on par with them. However, the scene before him left him dumbfounded. The parasitic queen had wiped out 13 experts, including himself. How could it be wiped out by 2 grandmasters of combat? Yes, Wang Yu replied. This thing is afraid of stomach acid. Moreover, the grab skill counters it. Oh, I see. Hearing Wang Yu's words, Lei Gongsheng finally understood. The reason everyone had been killed by the parasitic queen was because they did not know the parasitic queen's weakness. Other classes also had grab skills, but grandmasters of combat were the most outstanding. They knew the parasitic queen's weakness and had a skill that countered the boss. Theoretically, it was possible to kill the boss. Of course, if Wang Yu did not mention the danger, Lei Gongsheng would not be able to imagine it. Old cow, have you looted the parasite's corpse? With Wang Yu, who was not a boss, but more powerful than a boss, Quan Zhen's members did not care how the boss died. They only cared about what the boss dropped. Loot my ass. The corpse has already turned to mush. Wang Yu felt depressed when this matter was brought up. TSK, a hidden stage? How stingy. That's all it gave. Hearing Wang Yu's words, Quan Zhan's members cursed the stingy system. After all, everyone had been killed by the boss once. Bao San and Lei Gongsheng had it even worse. They had been killed twice. An S-rank evaluation only gave them such a lousy title. It was not even a consolation prize. After all, there were not many insect-type monsters in Rebirth, and parasite monsters were even rarer. Wuji said, "All right, it's better than nothing. The faction dungeon is not a dungeon for equipment." 30 seconds later, everyone was forcefully teleported out of the dungeon and returned to the Sunset Plateau. The setting sun highlands were still flat, and there were no traces of Decaria devouring the ground. This made everyone exclaim in astonishment. This monster really comes and goes like a ghost. It even fixed the non-respawnable terrain of the dungeon. To place one's pride, after looking around, he didn't see any trace of Decaria and said in disappointment, "What a pity. I didn't get to see what the primordial giant beast looked like." "All right, stop wasting time. Let's go," urged the Thunder God Lord through the team channel. "We've wasted a lot of time in the hidden stage." When everyone heard this, they no longer clung to Dicaria's appearance. After resting for a while, they continued forward. However, they had not gone far when Decali's low and muffled voice rang out again. "Thank you for helping me." When everyone heard Decali's voice, they were stunned. Based on past experience, when a boss said this, it meant that he was going to give them a reward. Hence, everyone hurriedly said, "You're welcome, HM." Decali was stunned for a moment before saying in surprise, "So you guys haven't left yet?" Hearing Decali's words, everyone's faces darkened. "What if we leave? Since you guys haven't left yet, this is a little bit of my sincerity. I hope you warriors will accept it." Decali didn't directly answer everyone's question. Instead, he used his actions to express his meaning. "If you guys leave, I'll take away this reward." Everyone's faces darkened, and they cursed the system 180 times in their hearts. "Damn it, I'm trying to take away the reward that's already in my hands." Sure enough, none of these bosses designed by the system are good items. Although Decali wasn't a good item, the system would not take away a reward that could be given. System notification. You have helped the primordial behemoth Dicaria. Dicaria's favorability plus 50, neutral faction honor points plus 50. Neutral faction reputation points plus 50. You have obtained Dicaria's gift plus 1. You have obtained 10 dungeon completion points. After the system notification, everyone's attributes increased. At the same time, an exquisite treasure chest appeared in everyone's hands. Decali's gift, epic treasure chest. Opening the treasure chest will immediately obtain the class's equipment or skill book. There is a chance to obtain a special item. Grade is no lower than rare. Opening requirement. Everyone did not know what dungeon completion points were. However, when they saw this treasure chest, even someone like Thunder God, who is used to seeing the world, could not help but gape. The grade was no lower than rare. There was no need to mention the rare skill. Equipment was divided into common, superior, excellent, rare, excellent, epic, and legendary. Among them, rare represented gold equipment. At this stage of the game, the majority of experts had yet to gather a set of silver equipment. Gold equipment was incomparably precious. One could just imagine the value of a treasure chest that was no lower than gold equipment. If they could obtain an epic or legendary treasure chest, just thinking about it made them feel elated. After everyone received the treasure chest, they impatiently opened it. However, everyone had somewhat underestimated the shamelessness of the system. Any item that involved something like probability had to be fought with one's face. In the eyes of the system, the majority of players could not even pass the test. Streaks of golden light soared into the sky. Everyone's expression changed from longing to disappointment. Of the 15 people, aside from to place one's pride in Wang Yu, without exception, everyone drew a gold equipment of their class. Gold equipment was actually not bad, but it was still a little short of the epic and legendary equipment in their hearts. To place one's pride drew a skill book called Flash Shadow Chain Kick. Flash Shadow Chain Kick. Using an extremely fast chain of kicks to cause the enemy to receive damage and be knocked into the air. In the end, the user can also send a powerful flying kick at the enemy, causing the enemy to receive great damage. Flash Shadow Chain Kick was a skill that could deal 5 levels of damage. Not only could it cause the enemy to be knocked into the air, but the power of the final flying kick was the sum of the previous 4 kicks. It was an extremely powerful high-grade skill that combined both attack and control. The reason why the Grandmaster Combat class was criticized by the players was because it was a squishy class that lacked damage output skills. Even Wang Yu did not have a decent attack skill. He could only deal high damage with his skills, let alone the other Grandmasters of Combat. To place one's pride could still rely on his martial arts to gain an advantage in the early stages of the game. However, as the others' equipment and skills were upgraded, they gradually began to feel powerless. Now that he had this powerful damage output skill, to place one's pride's strength suddenly increased by at least a level. To place one's pride was lucky this time. He first happily showed off his skill, then asked Wang Yu, "Uncle Nyo, what did you get? Let me see." Wang Yu's face was full of depression as he said, "I think I'll pass. I'm just trash." Chapter 485. It can't be. Everyone looked askance at him. "Old cow, you're still hiding it from us?" No matter how disappointed everyone was with the treasure chest, this treasure chest still had its value. The lowest rare grade was not just for show. The probability of getting trash was not much higher than getting a legendary grade. "It's true." Wang Yu defended himself. "Why would I lie to you? We all understand your logic. Then take it out and let us see." The more they saw Wang Yu speaking like this, the more interested the Chuanjian people became. After all, with Wang Yu's usual behavior, there was nothing to hide about a tool, unless it was something that was difficult to say. The people from Chuanjian loved to see others embarrassed. "That's right. Look at you. You're so narrow-minded. Are you afraid that outsiders will see it?" Dugu Jiuqiang also added fuel to the fire. Wang Yu was speechless for a while. In the end, he couldn't dissuade everyone and took out a bright red ribbon from his bag. Uffed. Seeing this red ribbon, everyone couldn't help but burst out laughing. This red ribbon was very bright and looked like a piece of equipment for women. However, based on the current aesthetic standards, such a bright color would make girls with normal aesthetics feel that this thing was tacky and vulgar. Wang Yu was 8 feet tall and had a pair of bright eyes. When he took out a red ribbon, no matter how one looked at it, it didn't match. If he held up his thumb and middle finger, it would be even more beautiful. No wonder he didn't dare to take it out. Even a shameless person like Wuji would feel embarrassed in front of such a shameful thing. What are you laughing at? Although he knew that he would be laughed at by this group of cheese, when he saw everyone's expressions, Wang Yu still couldn't suppress his anger. "If you laugh again, I won't show you the attributes anymore," Wang Yu said as he stopped the display of the attributes. "Aha! Uncle Nyo, with this red cloth, don't tell me the attribute will increase berserk." To place one's pride laughed while clutching his stomach. To place one's pride was lucky for once. When he saw Wang Yu pull out such an item, he suddenly felt like a serf who had turned over a new leaf. Wang Yu's face darkened. "Little friend, if you laugh again, I'll throw you down the mountain." Hearing this, the smiles on everyone's faces froze. Those who understood Wang Yu's strength knew that he would definitely be able to do it. Moreover, judging from Wang Yu's tone, it seemed like he had done it before, so he was definitely not joking. Wuji hurriedly said, "Old cow, we're not people who judge equipment by its appearance. It's still important to look at its attributes." Oomph. Wang Yu glanced at everyone in dissatisfaction and displayed the attributes of the red belt. Queen Mother's Undying Heart Accessory. Gold. Attack. 15-20 mana. 15-20 physical defense. 15-20 magic resistance. 15-20 Queen Mother's Might. Passive skill. Causes 3% might effect on non-humanoid monsters. Might. Reduces the target's attack and defense. Undying Heart. Passive skill. Triggered when receiving fatal damage. Not less than 1% HP for 15 seconds. Class requirement. Universal user. Iron ox bound. This equipment is not bad. Seeing the attributes of the equipment, Wuji said in a daze. Although it looked vulgar and shameful, the attributes of the red silk scarf were not bad. 4 attributes plus 20, and it came with a might effect. Especially the Undying Heart. It was practically a life-saving skill. Wuji's 2 invincibility skills were nothing more than this. With this skill, a Grandmaster of Combat's chances of survival would be greatly increased. Of course, it's not bad, Wang Yu said in annoyance. The most unique feature of this equipment was the Undying Heart. The invincibility skill was a life-saving skill for other players, but for Wang Yu, the Qi guard on his clothes was more than enough. If it was not enough, it meant that the enemy was so strong that Wang Yu could not withstand it. Even if the effect lasted for 30 seconds, he would not be able to escape death. Using his pride in exchange for 15 seconds of survival, Wang Yu would not do that. Hee, if you don't wear it, you can still sell it, Mingdu said with a smile. Accessories were very rare equipment. Even a white one could be sold for a high price, let alone a gold accessory with a godly skill. Sell it. It's bound. Wang Yu was even sadder. If he could sell it, he would not be so depressed. Wuji smiled and said, I see. Actually, this equipment is really not bad. You can wear it. Just treat it as a red scarf. Wang Yu. Seeing Wang Yu's unfriendly expression, Wuji hurriedly said, All right, stop messing around. Let's continue with the dungeon. Oomph. Wang Yu coldly snorted and stuffed the scarf into his bag. After passing through the Setting Sun Plateau and continuing forward was the path to Setting Sun Peak. There was no longer the 6th Apostles' army on the mountain path, instead replaced by Yuhui City's local monsters, Setting Sun Divine Eagles and Setting Sun Cheetahs. What was different from the monsters outside the dungeon was that the Setting Sun Condor and the Setting Sun Cheetah had the word demonized attached to their names. As soon as the party climbed the mountain, they saw the densely packed monsters on the mountain road. The density of monsters here was not comparable to the Setting Sun Peak outside the dungeon, but it was still enough to make one's scalp go numb. System notification. Your party has received the dungeon quest Purification. Quest rank, none. Purification. Setting Sun Peak has been infected by the 6th Apostle's demonic energy. The animals along the way have been demonized. The demonic energy must be removed from their bodies before they can safely climb the mountain. Quest reward. Dungeon completion rate plus 20% seeing the quest notification. Dugu Jiuqiang's expression tensed up and he said, There are so many monsters. How can we defeat them with just a few of us? Wuji said disdainfully, Who told you to fight? Do you know about purification? We have to think of a way. What way? Do you know how to purify them? I don't know. Then what the hell are you talking about? The two of them began to quarrel again. What are you arguing about? Just kill your way over. To place one's pride had just obtained a new skill and wanted to show it off. Seeing the two of them arguing, he took the lead and rushed to the front. With a flying shadow chain kick, he instantly killed a nearby Setting Sun Cheetah. F*CK, he's that strong? To place one's pride could kill a monster with one kick. Everyone could not help but be stunned. Although the Setting Sun Cheetah was an agility-type monster, it still had 10,000 HP. To place one's pride only needed one skill to kill it. It was clearly much stronger than Mingdu's single target burst. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, they probably would not have believed that this was the damage of a Grandmaster of Combat. As expected of a high-leveled skill, it's too awesome. To place one's pride clenched his fist, his face full of excitement. There was a saying that an expert who could not kill someone instantly was not an expert. Damage output had always been a Grandmaster of Combat's weakness. In a team like Xuanjin that was full of experts, and with Wang Yu as a comparison, to place one's pride had always been unable to raise his head. To place one's pride now had a high-leveled skill like Shadow Chain Kick. Now that he had the high-leveled skill, place one's pride finally had the confidence to announce that he was an expert. What are you so excited about? Why are you attacking randomly? The surrounding monsters are all attracted to you. At this moment, Wuji poured a bucket of cold water over to place one's pride's head. Only then did everyone notice that after the place one's pride killed the setting sun cheetah, the surrounding monsters all surged towards the party. Chapter 486. F***CK. To place one's pride's face was ashen. He had been so focused on showing off that he had forgotten about this instant's dungeon's aggro pattern. Little chick, let's have another one, Mingdu jeered. Come on, my ass. Skill D. To place one's pride rolled his eyes at Mingdu and hid behind Yinlao air. To place one's pride was young, but he was not stupid. If he dared to charge at so many monsters, he would be courting death. Square formation. As the group of monsters approached, Wuji gave the order in the party channel. Everyone in Xuanzhen received the order and quickly got into formation. The square formation was a defensive formation that Wuji used to fight against many. The people in Xuanzhen were familiar with it, but the people in Apocalypse were at a loss. Square formation? What the hell was that? Lei Gong, go to the front. Guntal Dog, go to the left. 2 assassins, block the 2 gaps at the back. Sorcerers, stay by my side. Wuji commanded. To put it bluntly, setting up an array was just a matter of positioning. As long as one could grasp the positioning, it was very simple. Duga 9 spear subordinates were able to sneak into this team, so they were naturally not weak. Following Wuji's instructions, they quickly got into position. Unlike an ordinary square formation, the rectangular formation was shaped like a triangle. The god of thunder blocked the second elder Een, while the 2 shield bearers stood at the front and back, guarding the front and back. Bao San and the Duga 9 spears stood at the 2 sides, guarding the 2 flanks. For thieves stood at the gaps between the 4 frontline classes to support the damage output. The 4 sorcerers were surrounded in the middle, which could be controlled as a healer or a cannon. The 2 grandmasters of combat with grab skills stood at the front, while the archers with long-range attacks stood at the back. They were responsible for dealing with the opponents in the air. The square formation's positioning could be used for defense and spread out for offense. It was most suitable for being surrounded. Seeing this formation, Lei Gongyan couldn't help but think highly of Wuji. It seems that this kid isn't a guy who only knows how to trick people. No wonder he can control so many extraordinary subordinates. After the formation was in place, the surrounding monsters had completely gathered. However, to everyone's surprise, these strange creatures did not attack them. Instead, they surrounded the cheetah carcass that was kicked to death by the place one's pride, absorbing the black aura drifting out from the carcass. In a short while, the cheetah's corpse on the ground had turned into a dried corpse. Damn it, this must be a cult. Seeing this scene, the crowd secretly clicked their tongues. This was too damn evil. It's not a cult. It's demonic energy. They're absorbing the demonic energy from the cheetahs, explained Wuji. As he spoke, Wuji cast detection on him. As expected, these monsters had an additional demonization status on them. Degree of demonization. Absorbed 1% of demonic chi. All attributes increased by 1%. Seeing this attribute, Wuji said with a serious expression, "These monsters cannot be killed by brute force." Why? Everyone asked in confusion. Don't you see the degree of demonization? When one of the monsters dies, its demonic energy will be distributed to the other monsters. The monsters will become stronger and stronger. Dugu Jiuqiang said disdainfully, the death of one only increases the degree of demonization by 1%. Right now, there are less than 100 monsters in front of us. Even if only one of these monsters dies, its attributes will only increase by 1. What's there to be afraid of? Idiot! Do you know what conservation of energy is? Wuji raised his eyelids and rolled his eyes at Dugu Jiuqiang. Dugu Jiuqiang retorted, "Don't talk nonsense with me. What does this have to do with conservation of energy?" Wuji pointed at the monsters in front of them and said, "There are more than 100 monsters. When one of them dies, the degree of demonization will increase by 1%. This means that every monster has 100% demonic chi. If there are 100 monsters in front of us, this number will be 10,000%. Double my ass. Did you learn science from a music teacher?" This. Hearing Wuji's explanation, Dugu Jiuqiang felt a chill down his spine. According to the laws of normal online games, Dugu Jiuqiang's thinking was not wrong. However, what Wu Ji said about conservation of energy was also reasonable. From the perspective of this quest, it sounded more reasonable than the calculation method that Dugu Jiuqiang had thought of. If it was really as Wu Ji said, the monsters would increase by 10,000%, and 10,000% would be 100 times. All of their attributes would be increased by 100 times. Wouldn't they be able to kill them instantly? Moreover, there were more monsters along the way. If they really fought their way through, the consequences would be unimaginable. The designer of Rebirth was really a scammer. Then what should we do? Lei Gongdian asked with a frown. In truth, Lei Gongdian's thoughts were the same as Dugu Jiuqiang's. However, after hearing Wu Ji's words, he was quite frightened. How would I know? Wu Ji said snappily. The system only allowed players to purify, but did not tell them how to do it. Wu Ji was not a dungeon raiding machine. How could he guess what the system was thinking? They're coming. As they spoke, the monsters in front of them finished absorbing the demonic qi and closed in on the party. The monsters at the front were less than 3 meters away from Lei Gongdian. Hearing the reminder, Lei Gongdian quickly snapped out of his daze and used taunt on the sunset cheetah that was charging at the party. After being taunted, the sunset cheetah was pulled in front of Lei Gongdian. Mingjian Daoxue and Baiming Yoyu attacked at the same time, each using a skill to kill the sunset cheetah. After the sunset cheetah's corpse fell to the ground, it began to release traces of demonic qi. The surrounding monsters also stopped and began to absorb the sunset cheetah's demonic qi. This demonic qi is a little strange. The sharp-eyed Wang Yu suddenly noticed something amiss. Why is most of it drifting towards Daoxue? When everyone heard that, they looked over and saw that the demonic qi on the setting sun cheetah's body had indeed split into two. A small portion floated toward the group of monsters, while the majority floated toward Mingjian Daoxue, enveloping him. Crap, what's going on? Daoxue was shocked by this sudden change. More and more demonic qi gathered, and a demonic energy invasion status appeared on Daoxue's body. Demonic energy invasion. 12% progress. Attack power increased by 12%. After 50% progress, demonic energy invasion will begin. Do you have a tool on you that can purify demonic qi? Wu Ji asked curiously. No. If I did, I wouldn't have been invaded by demonic qi. Crap, 27% progress. Hurry up and think of something. Otherwise, don't blame me if I attack you guys. Daoxue said anxiously. Once players entered the demonic state, they would lose their minds, unable to distinguish between friend and foe. It was a very annoying control skill. Suddenly, Baiming Yoyu reminded, Isn't the heart of darkness on you? The heart of darkness? Right. It's on me. Hearing that, Daoxue's eyes lit up. He quickly took out the heart of darkness from his bag and asked curiously, Could it be this thing? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.